And here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of a podcast series. Hopefully, all 5 of you will enjoy listening. That's the intro.
Wait, what was that, Robbie? You said something about 5 people listening?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not one of me.
Oh, okay.
All right, so bye, guys.
Okay. So, today's episode, obviously I have Van on again, because Van's kind of like the sidekick of this pretty much. And we have a special guest as well, as you just heard, Brad Garand in the house, everyone.
Thank you. Do I need to give an intro?
Yeah, you can give an intro.
All right, what's going on, everyone? It is Brad Plays Zombies here, and today we are back with another live stream. Oh, wait, no, wrong one. My B.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'll add your YouTube channel in the description below, so
Okay.
you can go over. But you have far more subscribers than I do, though. So
We'll see. Hey,
The people listening to this that are going to go to Brad's YouTube channel are going to double his subscribers.
Yeah.
I'm predicting.
Okay.
So what's this episode about? So, upon seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp back in mid-July.
Sure.
I came to realize that the MCU is 10 years old at this point and has over 20 movies, which I think we all can agree has been pretty consistent from the start. Pretty solid, entertaining films.
Are we just doing like general thoughts?
Um,
Time for.
Hold on. Let's. All right. So, admittingly, this is not. I'm kind of stealing from another podcast with this format, but the top show, Van, you're familiar with the top 10 show.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how we're gonna break this series down, because we have 3 people with 3 different lists, all comprising of 20 different movies. That's a lot of stuff to talk about. So one person's gonna go at a time. They're gonna give the picks through 20 to 11, and then once we hit that, the next person's gonna go next. Each person give a general statement on what they think about the movie. We'll go to the next person, then the next person, then all 3 of us will jump in to discuss that specific film, whether it's Iron Man 2, Doctor Strange, Thor: Dark World, whatever. The next section we're gonna break it off is from 10 to 4, same format. And then we're gonna do 3 to 1. The difference between 3 to 1 is that one person will go at a time. The thing I'm taking from the top 10 specifically is a system called the punting system. Let's say I have a film at 17, but another person has it at 6. That person will say punt and will say conversation further down the video until we get to it. Did I break that down well enough?
Yeah.
Alright. So I wanted Brad to go first, but he's laughing hysterically, so
I got this.
You want to go first, Brad?
Yeah, I got this.
Okay,
laughing at the same thing.
Okay, so
Robbie was frozen.
It was just frozen for like probably a solid like 10-15 seconds. So I'm like, oh yeah,
No, it was like a second max, at least for me. But
all right. So
Brad, you want to go first?
yeah, I go first.
All right.
Number 20.
Yeah.
This is Van's favorite movie, Thor: The Dark World. Okay.
That's my 17.
Okay.
that is also my 20.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. My 19 is.
No. Okay. So you have you have Thor at number 20.
Thor 2 at number 20.
Thor 2, right? What?
Yeah.
Just briefly give you a statement of what you think about Thor: The Dark World. Van will go next. I'll go next, and then we'll discuss the film now.
Garbage. That's just what I think of it. It was very hard for me to watch. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't enjoy. Maybe I enjoyed, when the commercials came on when I was watching it on TV for the first time. There's a Hemsworth in there, and that's about the only redeeming factor it has. I feel like you could not watch Thor: The Dark World, and your life would be better.
All right, so Van, you go next. What are your thoughts on Thor 2?
I'm definitely gonna be a little more forgiving than Brad. I don't think this film is terrible, but at the same time, obviously, it's my lowest rated. Um, this film can be very boring at times. The characters aren't very likable or charismatic. You don't really care what happens. Natalie Portman is not good. Anthony Hopkins is wasted. The only really great part about this movie is Tom Hiddleston, I think. I think Tom Hiddleston is good as Loki whenever he's in a movie. There is the one scene in this movie where he turns into Captain America, and I thought that was very funny. So, like I said, this movie has some redeeming factors, but overall, in the scheme of the MCU, it's definitely the weakest link, I would say.
All right, so I would obviously the Thor Dark World is my 17. So I don't think it's the worst. For the longest time, I thought it was the worst MCU film when I revisited the franchise. But I think that Thor: The Dark World has a few really good things going for it. Like I think the performances across the board are pretty good. Chris Hemsworth is great as Thor. Tom Hiddleston is great as Loki. And the thing that I was caught off guard watching is I think the visual aesthetic of the movie is amazing. Like the mixture of science fiction and fantasy, all those elements with the art direction and the visual style is fantastic. It's one of the best looking MCU films, I think, of all 20 of them. And I think it has decent action sequences, and I feel like the movie kind of hits its stride when Loki and Thor team up, but then there wasn't enough of that to keep it. I don't know. I feel like this movie is fine for the most part. It wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but it's fine.
Yeah, speaking of the visuals, I think Asgard looks really great in this movie. Asgard looked also great in Thor 1, but I think Thor 1 spent a little more time on Earth, whereas this one spends a little more time on Asgard. We get to explore that world a little bit more, and I
Yeah.
agree that that looks really good. And then I will agree with you that the movie kind of drags and drags, and then Thor and Loki team up, and that's when that great scene happens where Chris Evans has a little cameo. And I was like, okay, now finally this is picking up. But then, spoiler alert, Loki, quote unquote, dies like 2 seconds later. So
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
like the Thor and Loki stuff was great in it, and I liked those scenes together. But oh my god, the villain. What?
Oh, I forgot about the villain.
Tell me
I
what?
forgot he was in the movie.
Like, tell me one thing about Malekith.
He's like a bug or something.
He's a dark
Oh,
elf.
he's a dark elf. He's a dark elf.
He's a dark elf. And he's not the worst MCU villain, but he is the most boring, bland, forgettable thing in the entire movie. And I've always hated the Jane and you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I've always hated the Thor and Jane romance. I've never bought it, and in this film, I think it suffers the worst.
Yeah. I think in Thor 1, it's at least tolerable. I don't think it works in this movie.
It doesn't because the it treats the Thor one romance like it was this big awesome thing, which it wasn't. And so it really suffers where they expect you to buy the romance, and I did not buy the romance. That's Brad. Want to give some more thoughts on Thor: The Dark World? Or are you done?
Let's just say I watched this movie like a month ago, and I don't even remember what happens. That's
Yeah,
what I
that's
got
a-
for you.
That's
Then
a fair
again,
assessment.
That's like my bottom 3 movies. I don't even remember what happens, and I watched them like a month ago.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get the basic overview, but it's like I can't pinpoint anything special in the movie except for when the credits rolled.
I
This movie
appreciate
also
your
sucks.
honesty.
Oh, I was going to say this movie suffers from the MCU syndrome of having one mindless army that you don't care about fighting another mindless army you don't care about.
You mean
About
America?
like halfway through the movie, No, like when the Dark Elves come and they're killing all the Asgard like royal guards, and it's like a 20-minute battle, but you just don't care.
Oh, I thought it was.
Although, admittedly, Thor, it's fine, but I didn't really care. And then, admittedly, Thor's mom, at least spoiler alert, dies. So at least I can't say there were no stakes. And you know who else is terrible in this movie? Is that stupid girl who is like Jane's intern.
Kat
Yeah.
Dennings.
She is so annoying.
She is the worst part
And I
about
think
this
she has
entire.
and she gets like a boyfriend in this movie too, and he's also bad. And
Oh, yeah, I remember those two.
the only character on Earth that's not terrible is Stellan Skarsgård, who I don't even remember what his character's name. Like the scientist that gets possessed in Avengers.
Oh,
I think he's in
Pennywise's
this
brother,
movie.
yeah.
He like runs around naked in Thor 2. I remember that.
No, that was me.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Brad running around naked was the best part of this movie.
Yeah, that was in the
That's just
deleted
supposed to show
scenes
how bad it was.
on one disc.
But like I think the performances are good. I think the visual set. I think some of the action is actually pretty cool. Like yeah, you have like cannon fodder of an army, but I still think that like when Idris Elba like jumps onto that ship and like knifes it to death and it crashes. That oh my god, that's so cool. Or ship going through the Asgard castle. Like oh wow, that's cool. Do I particularly care? No, but it's really cool to look at.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll just keep coming back to like the stuff, like when Loki and Thor escape Asgard, and like they're on that ship, and then Loki flies through that little crack, and he's like, "You have to trust me," and then he doesn't, and that was all good, but it lasts like 5 minutes
The
max.
was not enough of it, and when we get off the really good Thor and Loki stuff, they're like portaling through like dimensions, or not dimensions, but random places in London, and it's like I don't. It's fine, but I don't care. I didn't care by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So that was so that was that. Brad, what's your 19?
The Incredible Hulk.
That's my 19.
That is my 17.
Okay.
Well, first of all, that movie should have had Mark Ruffalo in it. You know, it wasn't bad at a franchise that was already, not great, or screen, or on the big screen wise. It's not, I feel like the Hulk. It's like, oh, he's the dude that smashes stuff. So it's like, I appreciate the attempt made at it. Basically, the whole movie was about him, Bruce Banner just running away. That's basically the movie, is Bruce Banner on the run. If you're into, that, then that's your thing. But, let's just say the Hulk was much better when it got to Avengers.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna give my thoughts on the Incredible Hulk, I rewatched this movie and it was boring. And I will say it, I think the Ang Lee 2003 Hulk is a better movie than this one. And the reason I would argue that is because I think that it's a better character film. Like with the Incredible Hulk, it has over 70 minutes of footage that was cut and wasn't used. And I know that the director and everyone wanted to make it like 135 minutes, where it's a character driven piece, but the studio said we want it under 2 hours, we want it more of a thriller action movie. And I think that that's what it suffers the most at, is that it goes by so fast. It doesn't take much time to breathe and to let the character set in. Like Edward Norton is fine as Bruce Banner. Yeah, I never bought Edward Norton as a scientist though. I thought he was very meh. And Liv Tyler is a new kind of awful in this movie. She stands there and she's just like, "What? Oh my god!" She has bug eyes. Like she always seems like she's trying to get like air, like she's trying to breathe oxygen, and there's these big old bug eyes. Like, oh my god, I
Well, have you seen her dad?
what?
Have you seen Steven Tyler? Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, like the Incredible Hulk, and the other major issue is that there wasn't an MCU formula established when this movie came out, so it doesn't have the humor that I think a lot of the MCU films kind of need at times. So it's a very serious, driven film without much levity that I think could have helped, and the levity that is in this film doesn't work. And what are your thoughts?
Um, I actually liked Edward Norton in this movie. I think more probably than you guys did. I think what's sort of ironic with this movie is, like you said, Robbie, the studio changed it from being a character piece to more of an action piece, and the action in this movie is the worst part by far. I mean, at least in my opinion. I mean, the last 10 minutes is the Hulk fighting a really bad CGI like Godzilla Hulk, and it just looks bad, and it's just not good. Um, but I think that the beginning of this movie, where Bruce Banner is sort of trying to figure out how he can stop himself from having this reaction, and him searching for this mystery guy, it's not super compelling, but at the same time, I think Ed Norton is likable enough that I was um, like, it was enough for me to be invested in the story. I think I think Ed Norton does deserve a lot of credit, and obviously, it would be nice if we could go back and put Mark Ruffalo into the movie. But the fact is, I mean, this movie came out first, and I think Ed Norton easily could have fit into like the Avengers as well. Um, I don't think he's better or worse than Mark Ruffalo. I think it's easy to say Mark Ruffalo is better just because he's been in better movies. But I think Edward Norton deserves a little bit of credit. So, anyways, I think this movie, I agree that Liv Tyler is not good. I don't like the action in this movie, but I think that the character stuff with Edward Norton is just enough to make it a little bit better than some of these other movies that I have on my list.
You mentioned like the Mr. Blue. This guy's trying to help him like discover what it is to find the cure. I
I
don't
don't
know
even
if
like
you.
Mr. Blue himself. Like when he shows up, I don't really like him. I'm just talking about all the stuff, like what country he's in at the beginning. Um, like I like that stuff.
No, no,
Like I liked Edward Norton just living all by himself, just trying to get by.
I
That's the
don't.
stuff I liked.
I don't know if you picked up on this because I rewatched and I couldn't believe he would message Mr. Blue and the dude would respond within 5 seconds. Like there was
Oh yeah.
a moment where he's on like the Culver University, wherever he is in like Virginia, and he's on this random computer and he just messages him in the middle of the day and he responds immediately. It's like, are you just sitting at your computer just like waiting for this random guy you never met to message you? Random information? Like, do you not have much of a life? Because it does show the dude is some, teacher. He does have a job, but he just conveniently sits and gives random information as needed. It doesn't make sense.
That's a trope that I notice with a lot of movies is where someone will text somebody and then within a second they respond with a text block like a foot long.
Yeah,
How did you type that much? Like I understand they edited it, and I guess, but it just seems like if I was editing a movie, I would find some way to fill up those 10 seconds so that it seems realistic. I guess they figure, oh, if we put in 10 seconds of him waiting for the text to respond, that'll like be bad. But I'd rather have that than have a like irrealistic, like instant typing response. But anyway, that's just like a general movie pet peeve that I have. But yeah, I
yeah,
agree. It is the typing with Mr. Blue did seem like, how is that even possible?
but I do agree with you. Vane. I think the beginning of the movie is pretty good when he's in Brazil, kind of living his life. He has the day job. He's gone by, he's going. I liked seeing his life there in Brazil, kind of like what he has to do to keep himself calm and just living how Bruce Banner would live. I also think another thing that helps with this movie is the origin was done in the credits, so we don't have to just see the Hulk origin story. It's like done in the credits where it's cohesive, it's well done, it does not waste time. I think there were certain concepts in the movie that were good, like having to keep his blood pressure down or like introducing the super soldier serum, connecting it to Captain America in that sense. But the movie is just the villain, like Abomination, like Tim Blake Nelson
It's a dealer.
is not good. But when he turns into the no, Tim Roth, sorry, when he turns into the Abomination, it's like, oh well, so CG Hulk is gonna fight another CG guy. It's just like CG stuff that you don't care about.
Yeah, exactly. Like I liked Tim Roth until he became Godzilla, and then I just stopped caring.
Brad, do you have anything specific about the Incredible Hulk?
Abomination was, an abomination.
I didn't even remember that was his name.
All right.
He's an abomination of a villain.
He is. Abominations is like Hulk's arch rival, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right. He's just there. Just another big monster dude. It's cool. That's what I got.
All right,
So that was your
The
19.
next movie?
do you have anything else we want to say?
Yeah, so that was my 19. All right, number 18. I don't know if this is controversial or not. I really don't. It's going to be Thor number 1.
Punt.
Not controversial. That's my 19.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So
we'll
we'll wait. We'll have to wait. I do say it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just I enjoyed the rest of the movies a little more.
Yep.
All right. So number 17, Captain American. According to my notes here, I wrote Captain American, not Captain America, but Captain American.
The first one?
Yep.
That's a punt.
Oh, okay.
All right. So 16, Iron Man 3.
That is also called a punt.
Oh.
15.
Awesome. Okay.
15 is Iron Man 2.
That's my 20.
Okay.
That's my 14.
Okay. All right. Let's get talking, boys.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this.
Okay, Iron Man 2. Let's just say, coming off from what Iron Man 1 was, I feel like it was a disappointment in comparison. Felt as though Iron Man 1 was an amazing Marvel movie, but then come Iron Man 2, it didn't spark my interest to watch it again after I saw it the first time. I watched it again, I'm like, oh, okay, well, villain I don't even remember the name of, other than the fact he had these electric whips that he smashed when he was in a race car. That's about all I remember about that villain. I will say the fact that Tony Stark had an Iron Man suit and a briefcase. Gotta say, I wish I could carry that around and go to class with that. I gotta give him that much. Robbie, we're gonna save your opinion for last. I want to go to Van. I don't want to say too much because I want to hear what Robbie has to say.
Yeah.
But Van, let's see what you got.
Yeah, this is my 14. I agree that the villain with his electric whips was just embarrassing. A lot of the story was just not good. But I think most of this movie kind of rests on RDJ being able to be charismatic and likable, which I think he does in strides. So even though, I guess while I was watching this movie, I was expecting it to be really terrible. And I didn't see this in theaters, so maybe if I had, I would be more inclined to put it a lot lower. But since I was going in expecting for it to be bad and it wasn't terrible, and I really was able to just sort of hook on to Robert Downey Jr. and just watch a fun little time of him being Iron Man, it's just always a pleasure to see. Even if the movie could have been a lot better, I think that it is very serviceable. And I liked, this is Don Cheadle's first time as Brody, I think, as War Machine.
Yep.
And I thought he was really great. I thought they had great chemistry. And also Sam Rockwell is really good in this movie. So, and Sam Rockwell is my boy. So, yeah.
All right, Robbie. Should I go to the bathroom real quick, or?
No. You just mentioned Sam Rockwell Van being in this movie. He's the only good thing about this movie. I rewatched Iron Man. This is the closest the MCU has come to making a bad movie. This movie is a cluster. This is a cluster of just random ideas we want to throw in the movie. We want to set up the Avengers. We want to make a sequel to Iron Man 2. We want to throw in these. Tony Stark is like dying, but at the same time, the government wants his suits, and then Whiplash is Russian and he likes birds and he wants to kill him because of Tony Stark's parent, heritage, and then Justin Hammer wants his suits. There were so many ideas, and it does not blend. You mentioned Robert Downey Jr. being charisma. I couldn't stand him in this movie. Like there was a difference between being charismatic and then just being a dick. He was a dick through most of this movie. I found him unlikable. Like the moment he gets drunk in the suit, and then when he's at his birthday party, he gets drunk and starts pouting. It's like you're taking all of the character development you had in the first movie and wiping it clean. And then the moment where he pees in his suit, I literally sat there like, how am I supposed to be taking this seriously? How? You just peed in an Iron Man suit and it's played for comedy. That's like Michael Bay level of comedy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to defend the peeing in his suit. And then I watched this like really close to Iron Man 3, so there's some things that I can't even like remember which was in which movie.
Exactly. You can't remember anything about this movie.
So him having like a fight with War Machine like in his apartment and kind of like wrecking things, is that in this movie?
Yes. Okay. They use random like boxing sounds when they punch each other. Like a ding sound when they like smack each other. This is a cartoon. This is a freaking cartoon. Did you not pick that up?
I think I did notice the sound design during some of the fights, and I just kind of laughed.
let me break down. I kept track of the stupid moments in Iron Man 2. First off, he pees in the suit. Awful. Tony Stark is unlikable and all character development is taken off him. Awful. So he's shown being drunk and can barely walk in the suit at the party. But the moment he starts fighting Tony, he sobers up and just beats him up. No issue. They just out fighting casually, and like him being drunk, I guess, didn't even matter. Let's see. Oh yeah, when Whiplash shows up at the car race, there's a moment where he turns around in slow motion, and cars run into it and say blowing up in slow motion as he walks towards the camera.
Which is ironic because the Iron Man not looking at explosions in Iron Man 1 is one of the like most awesome things ever. But then in this movie, it's just not good.
And then this movie is just boring. Like it has so many plot points going on. None of it makes sense. He just makes this new arc reactor because his dad had something from World War II or something that he can now create a new element. I'm done. You guys go on. Oh,
Well, I think we should mention
Scarlett Johansson.
this is Scarlett Johansson's first time as Black Widow.
It is.
How do we feel about Scarlett Johansson in this movie?
Well, I mean, I do have to say that if you look in the Skype chat, you'll see a beautiful picture that my computer's been stuck on for about 5 minutes. That's all I saw with Robbie going off. No, I think it's time to move on from that. I think we can't beat the dead cat much longer.
All right, I'll say this is not Scarlett Johansson at her best. She's better at Black Widow in different movies, so we can
she
talk
is
about her
so
later.
much. She's there. Look,
Okay.
I love looking at Scarlett Johansson as much as the next guy does, as much as the next woman does. Everyone loves Scarlett Johansson.
I think she looks the best in this movie.
She does, but she's just there for you to look at her. There's nothing to her. Then like, oh yeah, that's right. Tony Stark's in the donut, and Sam Jackson says,
Yeah.
"I want you to exit the donut." Like, paid $5 million to say, "I want you to exit the donut."
Yo, I'd get paid $5 million for that.
Everything about this movie is, it's not an awful movie, okay? Like, the technical aspects are good. There was some good action in here. Don Cheadle is great in the role, as you mentioned. Sam Rockwell is really entertaining as he's like the most self-aware thing in this movie. And some plot points are cool, but it's just wasted potential and a major step down from the first film. I am done with
Yeah.
this. Unless you
All
guys
right.
wanna.
Yeah, like you said, it's not a terrible movie, even though it's year 20. I think we should re-clarify, at least in my opinion, none of these movies are outright bad.
No, they're not. This is the closest I think the MCU has gotten to bad, though.
Right. That's what I say about Thor 2. But like Thor 2 is not terrible. It's just compared to, well, Brad might say differently, but
I think it's not terrible. It's garbage.
okay. Well, there just goes my whole point I was trying to
So we've
make.
got good, bad, garbage,
Ugly.
dumpster, then terrible.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Thor 2 is the ugly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Glad we got that sorted out.
So 14. Yeah, that's right. Number 14 for me is Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Punt.
Okay. 13 comes after 14. Ant-Man 2.
My 15.
That is my 18.
Okay. So, saw this about 2 weeks ago. I really loved Ant-Man 1. I do like this movie quite a bit. It's just out of a lot of these other ones, it's just not my favorite in comparison. I felt as though I felt like they were trying to do so much because I feel like coming off of the hype of Infinity War, all we wanted in that movie was something to do with Infinity War. Like, not us recognizing that, but I feel like that was just mentally engraved. Like, all right, we need something big, we need something amazing. And I feel like the movie was more focused on life issues rather than dealing with bigger outside issues in the world. Because you got Paul Rudd, who I think is amazing. I love Paul Rudd, especially in Friends. It's great.
I agree.
I think Paul Rudd is amazing as Ant-Man. I feel as though they got the casting like perfect for that. I feel as though I don't have a lot to like bag on this movie for, but I just didn't enjoy it. I still really enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as my higher films. I loved Ant-Man, the first one. I loved it a lot. I didn't like this one as much. I felt as though having the Wasp in there added another element to it. I did like the addition of Wasp.
Mhm.
While I think my favorite part was when he went to Giant Man and was flopping around like a whale when they were doing the whale watch. That's a very good scene. And post-credit scene too, because that still got me thinking right now. So yeah, that's about what I got to say for Ant-Man 2.
So, Brad, everything you just said, I'm in line with you. I think that this is a really fun movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I especially agree with you when you say like it's more family driven in a way because every single scene with Paul Rudd and his young daughter, I thought was adorable. It was so cute, so
Oh,
sweet.
when he
Like,
set up that maze thing
yeah, the maze scene in the beginning was awesome, and
and he kicks through the fence by accident and goes, "Oh man."
yeah, exactly. And I like what they did with him being on house arrest.
Yeah.
I think that was a fun aspect to it. I think the action scenes in the Ant-Man franchise is really innovative. The
Yeah.
shrink and grow, It adds a lot.
It's impressive that they can do that.
It is like the car chase sequence was great, for example.
Yep.
And something I actually like about the villains is that they're not the stereotypical villains. Like a lot of it is driven at a personal level that I was
Yeah.
expecting. Like Ghost is slowly fading away, and
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne is trying to save her. So it's not like they're trying to stop Ant Man or anything. Just Ant Man is just colliding with what they're trying to do. And I like what Michael Douglas is doing with Evangeline Lilly, who is fantastic in this film. we're trying to find the mom in the quantum realm, and I love the visual style of the quantum realm. And yes, the post-credit scene is amazing.
Yeah. What, when you mean when the ant's playing the drum set?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I've been thinking about that one too for a while.
But Van, I know you're gonna be the most harsh one on this, so let it rip.
I wouldn't say I'm going to be harsh. I'm just going to be honest, I guess.
It's gonna be a little
So
constructive
I had, like,
criticism.
yeah, I had a lot of things I was thinking of while you guys were talking. Well, I can't really remember everything. So I'll start with the positives. I agree that adding Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp really works well with Ant-Man. And I think the stuff with her, Paul Rudd, and Michael Douglas all worked really well. I think where this movie suffers is with the villains a little bit. I did appreciate how there wasn't really one villain. It was kind of a bunch of smaller villains, but unfortunately I didn't really like any of them. And the other thing that really suffered with this movie is the editing. I don't know if any of you noticed, but there would be scenes where someone would be in one place talking, and then it would cut and they would be in another place, and then it would cut and they'd be back in the first place, or it would cut into the middle of a conversation. Just like really noticeable things like that.
So you're saying they broke the 360 rule.
I don't know what you meant by that, but like normally you can tell if there's like something that seems weird with like an edit. It's either like deliberate or
They
it's
broke. No,
a
that's
mistake.
them. So when you're filming like conversation scenes, you want to keep everything on one place. Let's say my phone right here. If you're facing my phone, you want to keep everything on the left side, no matter what. You,
Oh,
if you have a close up of the face here on the right side, but then you switch to the left side, it looks like it's been reversed. That's breaking the 360 rule.
no, I meant like they were literally sitting in like a different place.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't like, like in some movies, like in a heist movie, they'll like show them planning out the plan, intercutting with them actually doing it. It wasn't something like that. Like it was actually, I think, a mistake. And then there was some jokes like after Paul Rudd is pretending to be Michelle Pfeiffer or with the mom, and then afterwards they have a like joke. I forget what they say, but then the joke is ruined because Paul Rudd does a funny expression, but then it cuts like instantly. There was just a lot of things. It's like it seemed like an editing mistake happened every like 5 seconds, but maybe that was just me that thought that. And yeah, the villains weren't particularly compelling. The action was fine, but I don't think it did anything really that Ant-Man didn't do.
That's where I'm at with this film. It's like, is it as good as the first Ant-Man movie? I think we'll all agree that's a no. But I think that this is a fun movie. Like, you sit back and you watch it. I think it has good humor, it has good characters, and the plot, especially in the third act, gets really messy.
Yeah.
Like, now a lot of things are explained and things kind of happen. Like, Michelle Pfeiffer, like, touches the ghost character and she, like, makes her think. And then she's healed or whatever.
It's because she had a lot of time to think in the quantum realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would say, in my opinion, this movie is basically Thor 2 with a little bit more compelling characters and better action, but also bad editing. Also, in the scene with the maze with the ant, I was kind of hoping that the girl was actually going to think they were like underground. But then like 2 seconds in, it's revealed that she's in on it, which seemed kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. What,
Also, I just realized this. You know when he sticks his ankle out of the fence?
Yeah.
Do you think his thing is really that accurate that it would like notice the difference between being like here and here?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, with as strict as the FBI is, yeah.
All right.
All right, so that was 12. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say, Robbie, or are you good?
I thought it was a fun movie. I think the humor is actually really good. I think it has a few really good jokes, like Van mentioned, Michelle Pfeiffer possessing Paul Rudd, and he's talking to Michael Douglas. I was laughing pretty hard at that for the most
I
part.
like when they
Or Paul Rudd going into the school. That was very laugh out
That
loud, at
was
least for me.
great.
Yeah.
That was
Oh my
great.
god. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, but I thought all that kind of stuff was too few and far between, and I was kind of overpowered by like backstory for villains that I didn't really
I
care
did
about.
love that Michael Douglas got to tell one of his stories again with like the different people.
Yeah.
You mean Michael Pena?
Michael Pena, yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Michael Pena. I thought that was a really good addition, but yeah.
yeah. I also thought he wasn't quite as good in this one as the first one, but maybe his character is a little like one note. But anyway, not a bad movie, but anyway, that was my 18.
Okay. Here come my really controversial stuff.
So
My
this is
number
number
11.
okay.
It's Black Panther.
Punt.
I wouldn't call that controversial. That's my 13.
I mean that's a
Oh.
punt for me.
Okay.
Oh.
I figured it would be. So we've done my 20 through 11.
Yeah.
So Van's 20 through 11 now.
All right. So 20 is Thor 2, 19 is Thor, 18 is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, one at a
Slow
time,
down.
man.
Oh, we haven't talked about Thor yet.
That was a punt for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That was a
I
punt.
thought we'd already talked about it. That's why.
Yeah,
All right,
just
sorry.
one at a time. Like other than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ones we talked about.
Just
Yeah.
go slow for me, just in case, please.
Okay, yeah. I know. I just forgot we hadn't talked about Thor.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Thor.
That's a punt
for Robbie.
That's a punt for me.
Oh, geez, sorry.
Okay, so what's after Thor?
Okay, this is probably a punt, right? Guardians 2.
That was a punt for me, yeah.
Okay, yeah. We already talked about Incredible Hulk. My 15 is Age of Ultron, which
That was a punt for Robbie, right?
I have not mentioned Age of Ultron. Is that a punt for you, Brad?
No, I said that, and somebody said punt.
Mm-mm. Well, okay, it's Age of Ultron in your top 10, Brad?
No, I already said it.
Oh, okay. Then no.
Yeah,
Ultron is my 18.
Yeah, Age of Ultron was my 14.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk about it.
All right. Age of Ultron. Okay, it's coming off the amazing success of the first Avengers film. You kind of had the gang, but it's kind of like, okay, the gang's back together. But I feel as though, well, I'm pretty sure everyone can agree, Ultron was not as strong of a villain as he should have been.
I will get into this in detail.
Yeah. I think Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were better villains as they were for like, I don't even know how long. I feel as though they were better villains than Ultron was for the brief time that they were. I will say, that's the movie where they all try to pick up Thor's hammer, right? When they're at the party. Okay, yep, I'd say it's a very good scene because that created memes of putting it on the toilet, and they're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Gotta say, I'm not. I think I was just disappointed by the film because I went in there, I watched it, I'm like, okay, this isn't Avengers. I was waiting. I feel like I don't know what that something was, but Avengers had that something that made it great. I feel like Ultron, it was missing that something. I'm not sure what it was, but I feel like it was just missing something because I feel like it could have been much better, but just something was missing from it. Well, I don't know what that is, but I can just tell that something was missing.
Yeah. I rewatched this film yesterday. And I was watching it on my laptop, and right next to me, my brother was playing Minecraft. I hate Minecraft. But I was like more compelled to watch Minecraft than I was to look at this movie. I agree. I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of things I can name that are wrong with this movie, but I think overall, Brad's right that it just didn't have that special sauce.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, though. I don't know if it's like, the McDonald's Big Mac sauce that it was missing.
It's the McDonald's Szechuan Mulan chicken nugget sauce.
I don't know what it was, but it was missing it.
I think that was a Rick and Morty reference, but
Yeah.
anyway, let's talk about. There are some concrete things I can mention, like Ultron is not good. They tried to make him funny for some reason.
But it was not.
You said Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are good. I don't even think they're good.
No, I think they were.
Scarlet.
No, I thought they were better than Ultron.
Okay, which isn't saying much.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's sad that these two side characters that were like, well, I don't want to say side characters, but characters that weren't even supposed to be main villains, or not even main villains, that aren't even like, they're kind of like not the big focus of the movie, because obviously Ultron is, but it's like they did more than what Ultron did, and I feel so they did a better job than what Ultron did. I'm not saying they were good, but I mean, yeah.
Who plays Quicksilver? Is that Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's terrible.
Yep.
And then
When he
Elizabeth
died.
Olsen is usually fine, but she's doing this like really bad accent.
But she
it's
thankfully
not good.
drops in later films.
Yeah, which
which-
somehow disappears.
Well, I mean, I can see it because she gets like assimilated or just spend enough time in a country.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in 2 years. Come on, 2 years or 3 years. I mean.
Yeah, it's also weird watching this movie, knowing that her and Vision like hook up later. What else is even in this movie?
I don't know.
Oh, this movie. Oh wait, Robbie, have you ranted yet? Oh,
No, I've
you
not
haven't.
ranted.
No, Robbie rants next.
Okay, yeah, I have a couple more things, but I'll save it. I'll let Robbie talk.
All right, hold on. Robbie needs to get his throat ready, cleared up.
Grab your popcorn, everybody.
Hoo-wah! Hoo-wah! Okay.
All right, he's ready. All right,
So-
let me start the timer.
Alright, so Ultron, like, what numbers is for you, Van?
This was 15 for Van.
15? Okay, and this
14
was...
for me.
So, yeah. Ultron is my 18, and it doesn't have as many bad elements as Iron Man 2. And it's a bit more fun to watch than The Incredible Hulk, but of all the MCU films, this is the most frustrating one. Well, I really liked this movie the first time I watched it. I was like drinking the Kool-Aid. I had such a good time. And
I
then
agree with that.
the more I've watched it and the more I've thought about it, it does almost everything wrong. Ultron as a character is not intimidating. He is this whiny little bitch who has daddy issues. It's like he's made in like literally one montage. Like he's AI, and then in the next scene he is Ultron, and that was completely rushed. Like there are certain elements. If they had changed it, this movie would have been so much better. At the end of Iron Man 3, Tony starts being Iron Man. He destroys all of his suits. Great character development for that film. And then in the opening scene, he's just Iron Man again. Why not just have Iron Man take a step back? He's building like these defense suits while the other Avengers are handling it on the battlefield, but he's taking a step back because he promised Pepper. However, him and Banner, they create Ultron. Now he feels the guilt and is forced to become Iron Man again and go back into the battlefield. Tony Stark automatically has better motivation right there. Extend Ultron's origin story. It goes by so quick and there's so little time that I can hear you typing viciously, man.
Yeah, man.
I think that the movie should have been a lot darker than it was. Like, yeah, it's the Avengers and the fun and the joking. Like, I like the party scene. Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, be right back.
Okay. So, Brad, if it's just you and I, like, I think the film should have been a lot darker than it was. Ultron was not that menacing as he...
Just keep going, Robbie.
What I will say is, like, obviously the performances and the chemistry between the actors is good. Some of the action scenes, like the Hulkbuster versus the Hulk, is really good. Certain sections of the final fight was cool. I like the character interactions. I actually think they did a better job with Hawkeye than they did in the previous.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And then I think the best scene in Age of Ultron is the conversation between Ultron and Vision at the very end. It was really good dialogue and it felt very Shakespearean-ish. And I think that if the movie had been in like that vein the entire time, it would have been a far better film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, you're all set, man.
Oh, maybe not.
No?
What's the issue, Van?
Yeah, because you're fine for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
just me. All right, I'll just attempt to talk. So I kind of don't know what you guys were just talking about, so I'll probably assume you covered most of everything.
Yeah.
But I will just reiterate, Ultron was not good. Probably my favorite scene, like Brad mentioned, was them trying to lift Thor's hammer, especially when Chris Evans lifts it like a tiny bit and no one really notices, except you can see Thor is sort of like concerned.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was cool.
Because
And
at that
also,
point, nobody even cares. Because you're like, yeah, this isn't happening.
Van, I talked about this briefly. My favorite scene in the movie was the conversation between Vision and Ultron at the very end of the movie. Did you get like? I felt that was very Shakespearean-ish. I thought the dialogue was great. I loved the conversation the two had, but like, that was one fantastic scene in the movie that was just in a very messy movie.
Okay.
I just find Ultron to be a mess. It doesn't balance characters well. It and don't even started on that Hulk and Black Widow romance.
Yeah.
It comes
yeah,
of nowhere. Does not make sense. I would not have an issue with it if it was set up in the first Avengers movie, but it wasn't, and now the two are just frisky for one another randomly because the plot says so.
Well, I mean, it is Scarlett Johansson, so you always got to be a little frisky for her.
I know, but still.
But I don't know if you're frisky for a big green guy and like 50-year-old Mark Ruffalo when you're like, whatever, however old Scarlett Johansson's supposed
I
to be.
think she wanted the
Avengers.
green guy, especially.
Oh, okay.
Was it like trying to hide the zucchini? Is that what Tony said?
Yeah, you better not be playing hide the zucchini. Speaking
This
of
is
great
PG.
Tony lines in this movie,
Oh my god!
one
Yeah.
of the best lines is when Thor says, "If you can lift my hammer, then you will become like the ruler of Asgard." And then Tony says, "I will be reinstating Prima Nocta," which, if you don't know what that is, you should just look it up. But anyway, I don't know if you guys talked about Hulkbuster.
I mentioned it.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fine.
I forgot that was in the movie.
I
That was, like,
mentioned
the
it
biggest
to
selling
you.
point. Well, I mean, like before you had brought it up.
Okay.
Yeah, like I forgot it was in the movie completely.
That the Hulkbuster scene is it is
It was cool.
cool. What are your thoughts, fan?
On Hulkbuster, I
Yeah.
sort of cut out. Okay. Wasn't this like the one scene that they actually released before the movie came out?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I watched this scene.
They're like a good portion of it.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's pretty iconic. Like the Iron Man suit, like suiting up into the Hulkbuster, and then the fight itself is pretty good. Yeah, I like how they introduce Hulkbuster, and then he, makes an appearance in some later movies. There's one more thing with this movie. Oh yeah, what about Hawkeye's farmhouse? And his
I mentioned-
Chris Evans ripping the wood in half.
Oh man, that's something.
Andy's a Patriots fan, so it's cool.
Yeah.
No, I think they did a pretty good job, but I think Hawkeye got screwed over in the first Avengers movie, and I thought they did a good job at giving him a purpose in this one.
Yeah.
Then not to include him in Infinity War.
Rip my brother.
But I mean that's Age of Ultron for me.
Yeah. All right. So Van, what's your 14?
14 is Iron Man 2. And then these next three are going to be punts, I think. So 13 is Black Panther.
Yeah, I think that was a punt for Robbie, right?
Yeah.
What's 12?
Yeah.
No, what's 12?
And then 12 is Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Okay, and then 11 is the first Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Okay.
All right.
So Robbie, now one at a time for your 20 through 11.
All right. My number 20 was Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Number 19 was The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
18 was Age of Ultron.
Okay.
17 was Thor 2.
Okay.
My number 16 was just a punt. That was Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Number 15, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
My number 14 is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, that's a punt.
That is a punt.
That's a punt.
So my number 13 is Captain America: The First Avenger, which was a punt from Van.
Yep.
My number 12 is Iron Man 3, which is also a punt for Van.
Yep.
Yep.
And my number 11 was Ant-Man, a punt from Brad.
Yes.
All right. So going back to you,
So
Brad.
now my 10 through 4.
10 through 4.
Okay, my number 10 is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
All right. We ready?
Yep.
Okay. So I feel as though Benedict Cucumber, I feel as though first of all, I think he is a great actor. I feel as though he really fit the character that Doctor Strange was. I must say that I feel as though the movie started off way slower than it should have. I did not enjoy probably the first 20 minutes of the movie. I was just like, okay, so when's something going to happen? When's something going to happen? But once so Doctor Strange, like, I feel like they kind of hit the mark with the beforehand thing because, you know, he's an arrogant doctor. You know, he believes he can save the world, and then when he can't, he wants to be able to rush through things, which you see him do later on as he's like rushing through studying spells and like going through the textbooks. I will say that that was rushed because that's something that a beginning person shouldn't be able to do. Granted, you know, the guy is a genius, but again, I feel as though that was a little rushed. But I did like Doctor Strange as a character. I definitely feel as though the ending against the big bad villain, you know, when he keeps tricking him and he goes back through time over and over again until he gets so annoyed that, you know, he's like, all right, whatever. Okay, I'll listen to you. All right, what's your proposition or whatever? I thought okay, that was a bit much, but I did think it was. I thought it added that kind of like MCU humor to it though. I definitely liked the Beyonce scene where he's jamming out to single ladies as he's stealing the textbooks. But overall, I just enjoyed the movie as a whole more than others, obviously, which is why it's number 10. I really liked the introduction of the Time Stone. I thought it was cool how I must say I was very, very amazed at some like the action sequences when they kept shifting so much. I was just astounded by that. I thought that was incredible, and I liked how the world was protected by like these 3 different like regions. But I wish we would have seen more other than just the one that was in New York.
It was actually in London.
Oh, was it in London?
Yeah, because New York was Infinity War.
Okay. Okay.
Where's,
Yeah, I wish.
where's the third one?
The other one was Hong Kong, which is the finale of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like the where as focused as it like the movie was, I feel as though the characters could have been like they just seemed like okay, like the protectors of the other ones just seemed wimpy and pathetic. It's like okay, they weren't as important enough, and that's basically my complaints for it overall. But I did enjoy it quite a bit. I will say it messes with your head a lot. And if you don't like that stuff, then yeah, that's your deal. But yeah, that's what I got to say for it. Not my favorite, but middle of the road.
So, Van, you want me to go next?
That doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So I have watched Doctor Strange 3 times within the past 2 months because I have friends who love this movie and I want to know what they see in it that I don't. And every single time I've watched it, there have been elements that I've liked more, but the elements that I don't like really stand out more and more to me. Like, this movie is not bad by any means. It's not bad, but I find it frustrating that I hate how the story structure is so similar to Iron Man.
Hmm.
Have the dickish guy has to go through the redemption arc, and he learns to be
Yeah.
a better person at the end. I hate for the most part the comedy. I think the comedy falls flat most of the time. Like you mentioned the Beyond. I didn't like the Beyonce joke personally. I thought it was really dumb. Especially, I hated when Wong laughed at the end. I was like, really? That was the best. That's what made him laugh, and I know that's the point of it, but I thought felt like I hate the scene where he's like dramatically becoming Doctor Strange, and he pulls the cloak up, and then the thing wipes a tear from his eye. I thought that was horrendous. Ruined the dramatic moment right there. But um, but positive wise, the visual aesthetic of this movie is effing amazing.
I'd say the best in any MCU film.
By far, the best special effects come from Doctor Strange. Like, I was watching the New York Mirror Dimension chase sequence. That is a masterclass in special effects, as far as the amount of detail, the choreography, how everything is shifting. It is so masterfully done. I can't begin to imagine what it took to create that sequence. I think that the Dormammu sequence I think is genius. Instead of having this big epic battle at the end of Doctor Strange, we're gonna play it for comedy, and we're just gonna repeat it over and over and over again. I thought that was the best decision they could have done because it's unexpected, it's fresh and original, and that was one of the few comedy bits to where I ate up every moment of it. But for me, it's in the villain. The villain in this movie is awful. He literally stares. That's all he does. He just stares blankly at everything. You say something to him, blank stare. He says something, blank stare. It's like, dude, it's not bad, but those are my opening thoughts.
So the more you talk about this movie, the more I'm realizing I like remember basically nothing about this movie. I mean, that's not entirely true. I do remember a lot. Like the visual chase scenes that you're talking about is like Inception on steroids. Um, Benedict Cucumber Patch was pretty good. Um,
His
he kind
accent,
of,
yeah.
I thought he actually did all right. You mean just how he's an American accent?
His American accent, I think, is hit or miss for me, but
Really? I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, as someone who's only seen him in like The Imitation Game and Sherlock and that kind of stuff, it was definitely distracting, but I wouldn't say it was bad.
the
Like,
way
I
he
think it
says R's is weird. I know I say R weird, but you know.
I don't think I noticed.
I thought his because he was the voice of Smog, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like the
That's
motion
the
capture too.
that's the only thing I ever saw from him, and like I hadn't seen that movie in so long, so like so when I saw it, like, because I wasn't really familiar with a lot of his filmography. I just I like at first I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh, they got an American actor. Wait, no, he's British. Never mind, he is British.
That's a fair
I,
thing to say.
I thought, like, I forgot for a second that it was. I'm like, okay, but it didn't distract me whatsoever. Maybe if I was used to more of his work where he spoke in it, like in his native accent, then yeah. But I thought it was fine, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I mean, most people like have seen Benedict Cumberbatch in many films, so
I also think the supporting cast was pretty fine. There's the nurse, right? Is that Rachel McAdams? doing that.
Yeah,
Is it
I think she's wasted though.
Yeah. I think Chiwetel Ejiofor is also wasted. He's the guy from 12 Years a Slave.
I think Chiwetel was actually used really well in it for the screen time he had.
Yeah. And then Wong, I think, is played by Benedict Wong.
Yeah.
I really like Wong. And then yeah, you mentioned like the villain. I could not. If you showed me 10 pictures and said point to the Doctor Strange villain, I would not be able to point to him.
I do agree with that statement.
I can't even remember that there was any villain other than Dormammu. So that's probably a con. You know, it's bad when you literally don't know if you like the villain because you literally can't remember.
Like, what number is this for you, Van?
This is my 12.
12? Okay, I had this at 16. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm the most harsh on it.
Yeah.
But, like, the one thing we have to talk about is the action scenes with the magic is awesome. It is so cool. You know, like, whether we're talking about the chase sequence in the mirror dimension or when they're in the London Sanction and he's, like, doing those magic, rope things and he's, like, slashing. It's so cool. It's so trippy. Like, the moment Tilda Swinton puts him in that, like, LSD trip sequence is just like, how do you even come up with that? I thought that was amazing.
Oh, I forgot about that scene. That's amazing. The first time she taps him or something.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton, and then it's like 2 minutes of just like trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was awesome.
All right,
I guess.
For my number 9?
Yeah, I'll just finish by saying I haven't seen this since theaters. I can't remember a lot I didn't like about it, but then even more importantly, I can't remember that much, period, which I feel like's not a strong sign. So I kind of just cautiously put this at number 12. Like, it could easily probably go up or down upon rewatching it. I just thought like that's the highest I could legitimately put it, considering how long it's been since I've seen it and how little I retained from it.
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time like the day before Infinity War, so.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 9. I'm gonna definitely get some hate from this. Actually, okay, I'm doing a switch, but
It finally.
Well, it's only. I'm just flipping 8 and 9.
Okay.
So my number 9 is going to be the Avengers. Is that a punt?
Not quite.
That's my number 5.
Okay, so it's not a punt.
What's it for you, Van?
4.
Okay. So it's not a punt. So we can discuss it.
Yep.
Okay. I watched the Avengers 4 times in a matter of 2 days when it first came out.
Wow.
I didn't even see it in theaters.
Wait, no,
I was
not when
late
it
to the
first came out.
MCU train.
No, sorry. When I first saw it, I watched it. Yeah. No, I did see it in theaters. Then as soon as I could get it like on demand, then I watched it 4 times in a weekend.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now I fell asleep during the 3rd time because I was so tired. Then I woke up in the 4th one. I'm like, oh, I thought I already watched this. No, never mind. This was the 4th time watching it. So I do. I loved this movie. This really got me. I'd say this really got me hooked on Marvel movies because I saw the Iron Mans. Or I saw Iron Man, and that was about it. And so I'm like, you know what? Everybody was talking about seeing the Avengers. I'll go see the Avengers. I loved it so much because I was more of a DC guy, like Batman and Superman and Green Lantern. I like those guys. But like I liked Iron Man. I'm like, cool, let's go see it. And it's like, oh, all right, here's a bunch of other awesome characters put together with an amazing villain, pretty awesome plot. Battle for New York is amazing. Always will be. Hulk, smash. Yep, that's great. I feel as though the crew blended together, like the main Avengers. They blended together very well. Um, I feel as though Agent Coulson, rest in peace, even though he comes back to life in the TV show somehow. Then I don't know. I do like everything about it. I feel as though um, there's another film I want to talk about that kind of set the stage for the more lightheartedness of Marvel films. I feel as though it was starting to step in that direction, but it wasn't there yet. I feel as though while it was there in some cases, it just wasn't there enough to have me put it a little higher. Because if it was there, that'd definitely be like a top 3 movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Next.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot that we could talk about for this movie, but I'm gonna focus on the Battle of New York for a second. So we mentioned that Age of Ultron, which is a very similar and yet very different movie, is just missing something. So I want to kind of think about the end of Age of Ultron versus the end of this movie. Because when you think about them side by side, just if you were describing them to someone, they're really not that different, right? In one, it's the Avengers fighting a bunch of mindless robots you don't care about. And in Avengers 1, it's the same team fighting a bunch of aliens you don't care about. And yet, the end of Age of Ultron is just bad. It's just a bunch of random action shots just kind of slopped together. Whereas the Battle of New York is so compelling. It's like every shot is put together so like carefully. You can totally follow what's happening. Everything every character does, like their powers are utilized creatively. Um, and maybe it's just the fact that it's the first time all of them really working together. But there's just so many little details, like Cap directing the police officers, um, or Iron Man saying, there's a party, you didn't invite me. All these just little lines, and it's just hard to put my finger on exactly what it is, but just an example of how this movie has sort of the magic that, for example, Age of Ultron didn't have. Can you guys try to think of why, like maybe, because I feel like we all feel the same way.
Because the reason why Age of Ultron wasn't as good is because it was been there, done that. This was the first time we'd seen all these heroes on screen for the very first time. And it's like the Avengers to me in general is just this massive achievement. It literally changed cinema. You built this movie up for 4 years, so we're gonna make Iron Man. We're gonna have Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, and Hulk all come together on the big in one movie, and you're gonna buy it, and we absolutely bought it every single moment of it.
yeah, I feel like
I like how you forgot Hawkeye.
No one
I feel like
cares.
hey, Hawkeye's my boy. All right. Okay, I gotta say, I feel as though watching the Avengers and like the shot where they're in the circle together,
Oh my.
seeing that for the first time, like your jaw hits the floor without even realizing it.
Was that in the trailer?
Yes.
I think,
I'd be
but just
shocked
seeing
if
it
it
on the
wasn't.
seeing it on the big
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
now, it's because it's like it's something nobody even thought of. Never, just
No one thought
even thought
if
to just throw. Oh, let's throw a bunch of these guys together. Oh yeah, watch this movie's better than all their films when they're by themselves. It's like, oh my word, this is amazing.
the way Josh Whedon writes dialogue is so quippy, it's so sharp, and it stays true to every single character. Like hearing Tony Stark look at Thor and say, something like Shakespeare in the Park. Such a clever line. The way Black Widow tells Thor, you okay, Brad, go.
Just keep talking.
The way
Okay, be right back.
okay, the way Black Widow looks at Thor and says, "Your brother killed 80 people in 2 days," and he just goes, "He's adopted." Like every single character interaction in this movie is so freaking good. It's so on point. Like you mentioned, like the Battle of New York, one of the best third acts in any movie. It is
Mhm.
exciting. It is fun. It's chaotic but cohesive at the same time. It's endlessly watchable, endlessly entertaining watching these heroes come together. And
I almost think. Oh, sorry.
no, no, go on.
Okay. I mean, if I had to pick one action scene in this movie that's like the best, I'd have to say the Battle of New York. But I think the action set piece that happens aboard the helicarrier,
It's
I
so
think that
good,
doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, like Loki's whole plan to escape.
and his plan
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, well, it's pretty convoluted,
I
but it's
mean,
not
it
terrible.
makes sense.
But no, it's fine. It's not like I wouldn't call it a flaw. But yeah, like Iron Man starting the engine back up. Um, they're all in the middle of an argument, and then they realize like we gotta go. They just put their differences aside right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hulk fighting Thor is so cool.
yeah, yeah. And then Agent Coulson dying, and Nick Fury takes his trading cards and splats blood all over him just to
Mhm.
get a sentimental response.
That was some
Yeah,
like
this is
Walter
Nick.
White stuff right there.
Yeah,
Something
this
Walter
is.
White would have done.
I'd say this is Nick Fury's first movie to really shine, because in every other movie he's either a cameo or he's a bad part of Iron Man 2.
Yeah, no, Sam Jackson was great in this movie.
Yeah.
This was the first movie to where Scarlett Johansson was great as Black Widow too. Like she owned
Oh,
this
that
film.
that first scene where she's like captive, quote
Yeah.
unquote, and you buy it, and then you realize she's totally like playing with these guys. Like,
Mhm.
yes, Scarlett Johansson's the highest paid Hollywood actress right now.
I did know that.
Yeah, well, it's
Well
been like on.
deserved.
Yeah.
But and another thing that this film does get credit, but Tom Hiddleston was perfect to be the villain in this movie. The way he the movie is self-aware in the aspect of like Loki is this person so full of himself. He is so godlike, and so when the Hulk grabs him and smashes him and puts him in his place, that will forever be the funniest moment in any MCU film to date. Hulk smashing Loki to me is comedic genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd call it the funniest thing in any MCU movie. Like, nothing else immediately comes to mind, but uh,
Like the entire theater erupted, and the laughter continued far into the next scene. That was my
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I regret not seeing this in theaters, but I guess, like I said, I was late to the MCU train, and I hadn't seen, like, I hadn't even seen Iron Man, so I
Yeah.
didn't really. I thought I should catch up and then catch it later on DVD or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, so
Where
what's
were we?
my number 8?
Okay.
So wait, what was the Avengers for you, Brad?
9.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, number 8.
Yep.
This is I know how Robbie feels about this film. I'm not gonna. This might be a punt for Robbie, but I'm not sure yet. This is Captain America 2: Civil War. Or wow,
What?
I just give up. You know what? I'm. When you write Winter Soldier, but you say Civil War, it's okay. I just give up on life.
So wait, what number and
Winter Soldier is number 8.
punt?
Yep, I knew it. Okay, Van, is that a punt for you too or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, almost.
Okay. Number 7 is Civil War. Punt? No punt?
Okay, I knew it was gonna be a punt for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Number 6. Iron Man.
That's my number 7.
Okay. No punt.
That's my number 7.
Van, we're twinning.
All right.
We are twinning.
Iron Man. Like, at first I just went to see the movie because there's a song called Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
It's
And my
so
dad's
good.
like, let's go see it. I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, sounds good. Or no, he said that-
Marketing 101.
No, he went on a date with someone. He said, yeah, it's a good movie. So I went with couple friends, and I think my mom's boyfriend. Yeah, then my mom and someone else. I want to see something else. But yeah, so, okay. Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. I'm just going to just preface that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you read an Iron Man comic from 20 years ago, you could be convinced that they're like writing it based on Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. This
He's
was also like
one of
the
the best
rebirth.
cast superheroes of all time.
This was also like during the rebirth of RDJ's like career, because it's
Yeah,
like
it's
it just hit
perfect.
that slope, and it's like, oh, Iron Man, just shot right up, and it's like, bro, it's like, just why didn't this happen sooner for him? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
cool with it because I was at an age where I could, it was my mom who let me see that kind of movie. But
It's kind of amazing that he could so easily be a nobody right now if he
Yeah.
hadn't been cast.
and
But instead, he's huge.
he's perfect. He's perfect for the role. I loved the character development. Because yeah, I feel as though you guys. Oh, excuse me. I don't know if that was a sneeze, burp, or what. Or a hiccup.
All of the above. Yeah.
That was answer D, all the above. Yeah. But I loved the seeing the evolutions of the suits till he gets the perfect one for him at the time. I like that you actually got to see him test it or test different ones. So it wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, I built a perfect suit first try. It's like you saw that, show that maybe this guy isn't perfect. I mean, he's perfect for me, but RDJ, I got you, bro. I mean, I just don't know what there isn't to enjoy about this movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. Maybe you don't enjoy the villain that much. I was okay with him, but especially at the time, I'm like, oh, Iron Man versus Iron Man. That's bro, that's dope. I mean, it's true.
I love everything about Jeff Bridges except when he becomes Iron Man versus Iron Man.
Yeah.
Especially when he just kind of builds a suit like very easily. But
yeah. But remember, Tony also built one in a cave, so.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
that suit was trash though. It wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No, it was trash. Oh, 100%. It had flamethrowers though. Then it goes, no, doesn't it go like, now it's my turn or something?
Yeah. Oh, so cool.
Then I also like when he goes back to that same village and like saves them, right?
Oh, that's the best action scene in the entire movie.
That's when he walks away from the tank, and oh yeah.
He like comes down, he like punches that terrorist, like he does like flips and smashes into the building, and oh,
That's just such
so cool.
Just so good. But I think I don't want us to keep saying the same stuff over and over again. So you can go ahead, Van.
Yeah, I would basically just echo most of what you said, so I won't say it again. I think in terms of like plot, I really don't think this movie is that much special. I really think it rests a lot on Robert Downey Jr. just being like believable and just fun to watch on screen, and he just is. Like I could watch a 2-hour movie of Robert Downey Jr. just going about his life. So why not watch him be Iron Man?
Let's give him suits and weapons and blow stuff up.
Yeah.
Let's blow some stuff up. Yeah. And the way this movie ended too. I mean, this was the post-credit scene. Well, first of all, there's the "I am Iron Man" ending,
which was ad-libbed.
Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, was it?
It was ad-libbed.
Wow. I am Iron Man.
Not in the script.
I mean, they obviously didn't have to put that in the movie. So was Jon Favreau just like,
sure.
Yeah. And Kevin Feige approved it.
Wow.
All right.
I think
it's such a good delivery.
It's also kind of sad to think that Tom Cruise was almost Iron Man.
It's okay. He might be Green Lantern.
That's true. But I'm just so happy Downey got the role. But go on, man.
You know why Tom Cruise wasn't Iron Man? Was because he wanted the face to be like see-through.
Yeah, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Iron Man just flying. You see
Tom Cruise's face.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Tom Cruise would have got cast and we couldn't see it any other way. But I'm glad it's RDJ. Yeah. And this was the birth of the post-credit scene.
I don't even remember what
Brad?
it was.
It popularized the post-credit scene with it.
Well, yeah. It was the birth. Well, this is the first MCU movie, so obviously it was the birth of the MCU post-credit scene. But basically, it's Nick Fury saying like, "I want to tell you about the Avengers
Oh yeah,
initiative,"
the Avengers initiative. Yeah.
which I wasn't there personally, but I can just imagine
Oh,
because who would have even known to stay?
No one
I
did.
did. I did
Like,
stay.
oh, it
I
sucks.
didn't know about
Like
it.
two people that actually stay to like watch the 10,000
Yeah.
like VFX artists. Can you imagine being able to say like you just randomly stayed? And yeah, that's awesome. It's at the point now where even if I'm at a random movie that's not even Marvel and the credits come up, I have to like check my phone to make sure there's not like a post-credit scene, which I guess I blame Iron Man for that. But anything
So-
else about Iron Man?
So the thing that I think gets overlooked about Iron Man is this is a perfect origin story. The character arc is great, and I think that this movie, up until the third act, is paced perfect. The way he's set out to be this greedy dick, he goes through in the cave, what Jensen teaches him how to be a better person, him escaping the cave, and then him figuring out the different Iron Man suits and how to build it, along mixing it with his personal life with Pepper. Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow, that is probably the best romance in any MCU film. They have amazing chemistry together. And
Vision, Scarlet Witch.
second,
Oh sure.
yeah. But no, like the origin of Iron Man is my favorite aspect about this movie. And I think that people kind of overlook Terrence Howard as Rhodey. I thought he was pretty good as Rhodey.
I thought he was good.
Like I like Don Cheadle more, but I thought that Howard made it pretty good. I think the banter back and forth with him and Robert Downey Jr. was really good. My main issue with Iron Man though is the villain, and it's not how Jeff Bridges is written. Just the fact of the movie feels rushed because I feel like the studio said, okay, you have to wrap up this movie in like 15 minutes, and so Jeff knows how to pilot the suit perfectly, and
Mm-hmm.
he literally goes mentally insane and starts trying to kill Pepper. It's like, where did this even come from?
Yeah.
You wanted to build a suit, now you're a sociopath, a psychopath, I mean. But other than like those two aspects, I think Iron Man is essentially perfect.
Yeah.
It's not a 10 out of 10.
No.
Those two aspects definitely keep it from that, but I think that this is a great movie. Iron Man to me is a great movie.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a very simple MCU movie.
But I mean,
Like the
for the
plot-
time. Thought
However, just because the movie's plot is simple doesn't make it great. Because the Avengers, what's the plot of the Avengers? Loki wants to destroy New York, so the Avengers come together to fight him. Very simple plot.
Mm-hmm. What's the plot of Thor 2? Couldn't tell you.
That's not
Yeah.
great.
There's the spider dude that Van said, the spider guy.
Wait, in what movie?
Or two. You said the spider guy, Malky.
Oh no, I said he was like a bug or
Oh.
something.
Yeah, you said the bug dude. Robin goes, oh, you mean the elf? Oh yeah, that's it.
But no, Iron Man just really solid, great start to the franchise that gifted us for this.
Would you say it's Iron Solid?
Ha ha ha! Wink wink.
No, I wouldn't, just because of that.
So,
Just so
Brad, what
everybody's-
was Iron Man for you?
That was number 6.
All right. So, what's your number 5?
Ant-Man. I don't know why. I just love this movie so much.
So, before you go on, Ant Man was my 11.
Okay. Van will...
It's my 11.
Okay.
God damn.
So, I don't know why I fell in love with this movie when I saw it. I
Mhm.
thought it was the coolest thing since like sliced bread, because everybody uses that. I should say it's the coolest thing since Betty White, because Betty White's cooler than sliced bread, and I think Betty White's older than sliced bread. But regardless, regardless of that, Paul Rudd, I'm like, wait, that's the guy from Friends. So it's like, combine my love of Friends, then like combine my love of Marvel. It's like, oh my word, you just made the perfect baby right there. I loved I loved the humor in that movie so much. I can't think there was maybe, I don't know, a total of like 20 minutes where I wasn't laughing or didn't have a smile on my face. I loved it. I'm more if I'm much more of like I'm a comedy guy much more, as you can tell by the way I have been acting this entire time and my messages in the chat. But regardless, um, I just if a movie can be great, if a superhero movie can be great and make me laugh at the same time, that's just perfect for me. I you know Thomas the Tank Engine. So got to put him in there. I love that boy. He was probably the scariest part of the movie. Um, I know a lot of people didn't like the villain. I understand why, but I definitely did like the final fight scene. I enjoyed it quite a bit. For the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's like you have this little toy table. Like you'd never think there's a battle going on a kid's table, but it's like it just blows your mind. Or it blew my mind what that movie was capable of doing. Because I feel as though that Ant-Man, I feel you don't. It's tough because he wasn't. He's in the MCU, but not many people consider him an Avenger. Like, because we don't. He doesn't inter. He didn't in his movies. He didn't interact with the other Avengers, and yeah, and so it's kind of tough to throw him in there. So I feel like Ant-Man is separate from the Avengers like franchise than like all their separate movies that like came to become the Avengers. So I think it's kind of separate, and for what it is with that separate, its originality and um, its own character it has as a movie as a whole is what really gets me.
Yeah, I think Ant-Man is super fun. This is a super fun, light-hearted movie, and it's one of the first MCU films to start genre blending. Like, this is straight up a heist movie with superheroes. And like I said, it is a total blast. I think Paul Rudd is great in this movie. I think Michael Douglas is great. I think Michael Pena is great. And you mentioned the final fight scene, genius. In the
Yeah.
room with Thomas the Engine, and they shrink the ant, and they shrink. They grow the ant, and they grow the Tank Engine. It is so quirky, so dumb, and it is so awesome. Ant Man is an awesome movie. Is it great? No, my issues lie within the villain.
Yeah.
I think he's right. Ant Man itself is modeled very much after the first Iron Man film, and the way it tells its story and some of the same thematic elements, like an older man having to get his tech, and then the main hero fights another, tech version of himself. It's still done well, and it is different enough, but I do get the taste of Iron Man when I watched Ant Man. But no, super, super fun movie.
Smart baby. I love that movie.
Yeah, I would basically agree with everything Robbie said 100%. And I guess I would just say, who would have thought a couple years ago that we would have a movie literally called Ant-Man and that it would make like millions of dollars?
Yeah, the premise is so ridiculous. He controls and talks to ants, but you buy it. You buy
Yeah.
Paul Rudd talking to ants, and you care that they kill an ant called Anthony.
Yep.
Come on!
Well, I mean, one of my friends at college, he has yet to. He refuses to see Ant-Man because he thinks it's so dumb. He goes, the dude just shrinks to the size of an ant. I don't get it. Like, you gotta see it.
The,
It
the,
is
the
so
movie
funny.
has more going for it than that, definitely.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't understand that though. But I'm not even gonna lie. After I saw Ant-Man, I thought that was the best Marvel movie I've seen.
Yeah. I loved Ant Man when I first watched it. It hasn't aged quite as well as for me as it is for you, but I still
Yeah.
I think the movie also has the Edgar Wright stamp on it and a few
Hmm.
humor aspects that it would have been interesting to see how an Edgar Wright Ant-Man movie would have been, but I think the Peyton Reed one pretty solid.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Want me to move on to my number 4?
Yep,
All right. My number 4 is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
that was my 14.
Okay, Van, what was that for you?
That's my 10.
Okay. I love that movie so much. Michael Keaton is arguably in my opinion, one of the best villains in the MCU. I feel as though he did an amazing job as Vulture. I loved it so much, and I feel like, as much of a villain as Vulture was, you kind of understand what he did and why he did it, because this was just a working man trying to provide for his family.
He's essentially the Walter White of the MCU.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I'm like, yeah, it's just like Breaking Bad. Like, you can relate it to that. And as amazing as like Breaking Bad was, it's like, okay, but now you have Michael Keaton, who I think is amazing. I think that, you know, he did, I'd say, a perfect job as Vulture. I loved it so much. I was very iffy about Tom Holland at first, but I loved his portrayal of Spider-Man. I mean, Tobey Maguire, he's my boy, but I got to give it up for Tom Holland. I feel as though he did a fantastic job. His New York accent is very on point. If you went to New York, that's almost exactly how he talks. Okay, almost exactly. I was very proud of a kid that can do that. I thought, I'm glad we didn't see Uncle Ben dying again. We kind of moved past that point. We didn't have to see the stupid origin scene one more time. We've seen that enough. Um, I feel as though they definitely could have added a touch more of the nerdy side to him, because Spider-Man is a nerd. I do like the Lego Death Star, though. That's dope. That's very cool. Till they destroyed it, and I'm like, whoever made that's got to be mad. I felt for that person. I was just very impressed with the movie as a whole, and I'm very excited for the next one. I don't know. I feel like this is just a movie like Ant-Man that I just fell in love with. It just hit me in the right spots. It was very fun. I feel as though it was a good adventure film. Or, well, not adventure film, but you know what I mean. You kind of got a sense for what it was. And I think it was, again, a much more family-driven thing, because you had the interaction with Tony Stark and Peter Parker. And you saw that chemistry that they had together. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like his dad, basically. He parents him and he disciplines him in the way that he should. That's about what I got. I feel as though for a kid, I feel as though there's a good amount of character development for Tom Holland Spider-Man. No, not as much as like you've seen like Iron Man and other movies, but I definitely feel as though there is still a good amount for a character that was introduced in Civil War. It was in one big scene, basically. That was it. Then he gets a whole movie, and you see his growth as a superhero. And because usually you see the growth as an individual in these Marvel movies, but you see him grow as a superhero and mature more as a superhero than he does as a kid. All right.
Van,
That's what
you
I
go
got.
next. I know I'm gonna be the houses on this one.
Yeah, I think more than anything, this movie is just fun to watch. I think Tom Holland is compelling. Actually, maybe like Andrew Garfield a little bit better, which is weird. But I think Tom Holland works really well in the context of the MCU that was established. I think Ned is fine. He had some funny moments, especially
He's watching
when he was
porn.
in the computer lab. The reveal that Michael Keaton was the dad of like the.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
Is that girl supposed to be MJ?
No.
Because I know they called her like MJ,
Liz.
but is she supposed? Okay. Because there was one girl where I wasn't sure. Like someone said she was supposed to be like Mary Jane, but anyway,
Wasn't
they
that
revealed that
Zendaya?
he's like her. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's supposed to be MJ. Because at the end they call her MJ.
Okay. Oh, so the girl he went to prom with was different. Was not
Yeah, that was
Zendaya?
just a girl.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen this, but
Yeah.
anyway, the reveal that he was like the dad of the prom date I thought was pretty clever. Didn't see
Yeah.
that coming.
I didn't.
I also
either.
just thought the idea of, because normally like you have the big battle in New York and then it seems like you just kind of forget about it for the next slew of movies. So I think it was kind of cool to take a step back and think, you know, take a deeper dive into what would probably realistically happen. So I think it was really interesting to see the people that profited off of that alien technology.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Michael
And I
Keaton,
feel-
I thought he was fine. He was good, but considering he's Michael Keaton, I thought he was fine. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, he was good as a villain, but I also was maybe a little disappointed considering he's like maybe could have done. I don't know. Considering
I
he's
thought he
Michael
did
Keaton,
really good. Or he did really
yeah,
well.
like he does a good job, um, but yeah. Let's see, what else do I have to say about this movie? Overall, it's just fun. I've heard some people complaining about the Spider-Man suit that can sort of talk to him, like the Tony Stark suit. Oh, okay. Robbie's gonna talk about this later. But yeah, overall, it's just creates a fun atmosphere. I think this is just the best friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie. Fun Spider-Man, Tom Holland, fun movie.
Okay. This movie's overrated. It's at like 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. People deemed it the best Spider-Man movie, and everyone's entitled to their
No,
opinions.
I don't think it's the best Spider-Man
This
movie.
is like the third, if at best.
I agree with that.
There are two reasons why this movie is even watchable. Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man, and then Michael Keaton is great as the Vulture. If Michael Keaton was not in this movie, I wouldn't care for it. If Tom Holland wasn't in this movie, I wouldn't care for it. If those two actors are not featured in this movie for me just exists, and it's just another Spider-Man movie that's disposable. I liked seeing him in high school, yes, but my biggest issue is that this movie feels so connected to the MCU. It's like we have Iron Man Jr. with his suit. Oh, I'm gonna suit up and be an Avenger, guys. And like, yes, I liked Tony Stark's part in this movie. I think he did a good job at driving his motivation. But there are other aspects, like Happy Hogan's in this movie. I hated Happy in this movie. I thought he was unlikable. I thought he was unpleasant. I thought that he didn't need to be in this movie. When the bank robbers show up dressed in like Avengers masks, it felt like the MCU telling you guys, hey, guess what? We have Spider-Man now. Did you know we have Spider-Man? Well, guess what? We have Spider-Man. I bet you didn't know that. This is in the MCU with the Avengers, guys. It's like, yes, I got it. I completely understand that we got it, but they keep shoving it down your throat the entire time, and it's obnoxious.
Yo, that's not gotta be careful what you do there, Robbie, when you're doing this. Especially in front of a camera.
Well, the
I'm
camera is
sorry.
being recorded, so.
Yeah.
But
I
and
will say-
the other thing I want to say, Van, before you go, is like the movie is fun and fine and lighthearted. I didn't care about the plot. Once Tony takes his suit, I was in the movie till the end. Great third act. Until he got his suit removed, it's fun, it's fine, it's whimsical, but nothing about it stood out to me.
Just about the note of them trying to shove in your throat that this is an MCU movie, which I hadn't really thought about, but now that you mention it, it totally makes sense. When you're someone like us who actually kind of keeps the date on this sort of thing, I can see it seeming kind of annoying. But I think the average moviegoer, I mean, how many Spider-Man reboots have there been in the last 10 years? Like 3?
Right, yeah.
Really?
So I think if you're the average moviegoer, it could be kind of confusing. Like, all these different, the average person doesn't know the difference between MCU and not MCU. They don't understand why Hugh Jackman can't meet Robert Downey Jr. So I think, like, from a marketing standpoint, I think it probably was smart to sort of make it very, very obvious that this is in the same universe, which it, like, certainly the movie suffers as a result. But I can understand, like, speaking in terms of the general public being very confused by these movies, I can understand why they would want to make it very clear. But I do agree, it does seem a little shoved in your face at times. And it seems like they should be able to just make a good Spider-Man movie, and that would be enough.
And another thing this Spider-Man movie lacks from both series before this is the action is so tensionless. Like he gets the crap beat out of him, no blood. In the Tobey Maguire films, like the action scenes are borderline rated R in the first two, because the amount of blood, the amount of violence, even in the Amazing Spider-Man films, he gets cut up, he gets beat up, and there's none of that in this movie. There was none of that. I think it takes away the tension and the stakes in the film.
I also feel like a key part of Spider-Man has always been the, like, girlfriend, whether it's MJ or whether it's what is her name?
Gwen.
Stacy. Which I can understand. They're like, okay, we've been there, done that with these two reboots. But I think, like, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone were, like, the best part of the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I haven't seen the Raimi ones in a while, but I remember MJ was like, I mean, MJ is just such a big, important part of Spider-Man. So, anyways, I hope they introduce that maybe in Spider-Man Far From Home. But,
Okay, I got one thing to say.
Yep.
So, I hear what you're saying, completely do. This isn't, hate or anything. But you did bring up the point where it's like, where he shoots up and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm an Avenger too." You also have to remember, this kid isn't an adult in this movie. He's still a kid. So that is what his mindset is going to be.
I
Like, if
realize
Tony
that.
Stark showed up at your door and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna come fight for us," you're gonna be like, "Bro, I'm an Avenger." You're gonna be like texting whoever, be like, "Dude, I'm an Avenger."
That wouldn't bother me as much though if the other aspects weren't telling you it's MCU. You know, like if Happy wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't bother me as much. If the Bank Robbers weren't dressed as the Avengers, it wouldn't bother me as much. But because those elements are there, that does bug me a bit, just because.
No, I do understand like the MCU thing, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, I do keep tabs on it. It doesn't bug me as much as it might bug you too, because I do understand, like, from a marketing standpoint, like what Vann had said, you might be very confused about it. Because I remember when I first watched the Avengers, I'm like, well, I mean, I just saw a Spider-Man movie not too long ago. Like, why isn't he here either? Or it's like, where's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? Now it's like, okay, Spider-Man's here. Don't you forget it. He's not going anywhere. He's with us now. And I think that, I do see where it can be shoved down your throat a little bit. But I do understand but it's also the fact where I feel as though with, like, you have X-Men going on at the same time as Avengers, but then you have these separate Spider-Man movies too. It can be very confusing as to why nothing's happening together. Which that's just from me also, getting a degree in business too. So
Oh, sorry, man, go on.
oh, I was just gonna say, you're obviously not a big fan of all the in-your-face MCU tie-ins. How do you feel about the connection to the Battle of New York? Because that's an MCU tie-in that I'd say is at least somewhat, like, clever.
That one works because of the way it makes. I'm able to sympathize with Michael Keaton's motivations, and they get
I love it.
the character good incredibly well. Like you said, he's the Walter White of the MCU, and that's the reason why the Battle of New York for me completely works. That's a great connection. It's something I wouldn't have thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But everything else was met. And the last thing I'll say about this movie is the third act. It's great. Third act is wonderful for the most part. Like the reveal of that Michael Keaton is Liz's father shocked me. And
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
the scene where they're in the vehicle and they're at the stoplight and
Hmm.
he's figuring out all the information and the green light. To me, that's perfect filmmaking. Of course, he would figure out that information. It was great. I think when Peter's stuck under the rubble and he's crying, and then he finally gets the willpower to overcome it. That's another great scene. But for me, this movie has great moments mixed in a movie for me that's just fine and doesn't do anything to stand out from other MCU films. It's very formulaic in the MCU aspect, but I know I'm in the vast minority when I say this about Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah,
I
I do
also
understand.
thought
Oh, go ahead, man.
I also thought that the whole subplot of his like, what is he, like, science Olympiad or math team or something, and all his friends that weren't Ned were annoying.
Oh,
I thought.
I loved when the teacher says, "I can't lose a kid." Not another one. He like looks up.
Yeah, yeah. I actually forgot about that line. That was a great line.
You're the one who told me about that line. You were so
It's like,
excited.
maybe it's just the sense of humor that I have. Like, I
Yeah.
could totally see someone watching that and just being like, "Oh, that's sad. He lost the kid." But me watching that, it's just like hilarious.
They lost the kid.
It's just the way he says it, so like,
In his face, he kind of looks off, like he's like having this like big flashback.
yeah.
It's great. Yeah, for me, I would say that for me, like I don't think Spider-Man: Homecoming is like at the highest point in the world. I don't think it's like Mount Rushmore amazing. I mean, I do understand it's in my top four. That's also the fact that I really do love Spider-Man, but I also understand the fact that if I didn't like Spider-Man as much, it'd definitely be lower.
Yep.
But like that's also just like a personal thing for me. But it's like I do understand its faults. I really do. All right. So Van, let's start with your 10 through 4 now, one at a time,
Right.
slowly.
So my 10, I'm pretty confident we talked about Spider-Man because we just did.
Actually, hold on. I think maybe. Yeah.
I really don't want to mess this up. So number 9 is, pretty sure Brad hasn't talked about Guardians yet.
The first one?
Yeah.
That's a punt.
Yep. 8 is Iron Man 3.
That was my 12.
Okay,
Brad, what's that
so
for you?
let's talk about it.
Well, what was that for you, Brad?
Oh, that was my 16.
Oh, all right.
So Van, because this is now for you, you get to start this.
All right, Iron Man 3.
Yay, Van!
Where do we start? I think a lot of it, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but I could just watch Robert Downey Jr. play Iron Man all day long. I never get bored. There is a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't really work. I think the whole subplot of him going off and like meeting that kid was sort of weird.
Sort of. No.
The reveal that Ben Kingsley was just like a actor was kind of weird, but I also kind of liked it. Like, this movie is super not conventional in a lot of ways. And I can see why some people wouldn't like it, but I just sort of was like it seemed like something quirky or weird happened every like few minutes, and I sort of appreciated it. This movie is also starting to like blend together with Iron Man 2 for me because I watched them like back to back. I don't know. Maybe if you guys like talk about what you don't like, I'll be able to remember more.
I'll go first because I think Brett has a lot to say about it, but
don't have a lot, but
I'm definitely a defender of Iron Man 3. Like, I think Robert Downey Jr. is great. I love how they introduce him having like some form of like PTSD and like anxiety from the Battle of New York. I think that was great, and I think the scene with him dealing with that aspect was excellent. Not only is Downey Jr. great in those parts, but I think the way they'll handle is as realistic as it probably could be in a superhero film like this, without compromising the fun aspects. I love the plot twist. I know that's like the plot twist is either you love it or you hate it. I love it because it's super unconventional. It subverts expectations, and I think that it adds a layer. Like it's kind of like it's almost making fun of Hollywood as far as false marketing goes. Because like you have the Mandarin who's gonna be this like super bad terrorist guy, and then it isn't that, and it I feel like it is kind of taking a jab at false marketing in Hollywood with films. My main issue with Iron Man 3 is nothing about the plot, it's the editing. There are certain moments that just go by way too fast. Like the movie is over 2 hours long, but it feels shorter. Like certain dramatic moments should have been drawn out more, and certain scenes should have been longer than they were. Because the action scene in this film is spectacular. Like that, the when his house gets destroyed is amazing. His escape, like from Guy Pearce is great, and I think the final confrontation is great. It's just some of the dramatic moments could have been better if they took the time to add maybe 5 to 6 minutes in total. In certain like add 15 seconds to that shot or add 20 seconds, you know? That's me with Iron Man 3.
Okay. I'm not a hater of the film. I don't respect it as much. I
Yeah.
will say, a lot of the things that you like, Robbie, I did enjoy. I really did. I love Tony Stark because I just love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. I get really confused though, or I absolutely hated that the Mandarin was just some stupid actor. I really did.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't, because after watching, Iron Man and like the Avengers and like those films, I got, um, I, I never really read comic books, but I'd like keep track of them. So it's like I understood who the Mandarin was. Like this is a very big person, and like that Iron Man has to go up against. And I feel like there was so much there that they just threw away that I was not very happy with. I didn't. I'm not gonna say I hated it. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. The ending with a bunch of the Iron Man suits, I thought that was dope. With his house exploding and like escaping from that, I thought that was dope. I was. I'm still a little confused to how Um, so like when she was flying in the Iron Man suit, was that Jarvis controlling it or was that her controlling it? Because I
Jarvis.
feel like, but I feel it's just kind of hard to think that okay, so this person that although she's been around the tech, it's like throw in her suit and it's perfect. Like it's okay, it's perfectly fine. I'm not okay with that. I don't know. With as big as a terrorist thing that this is, um, my question is like, where's Shield in all of this? Like, there could have just been a little bit there for them to help. I really do. I like how he had the shrapnel in his chest, but he had to wait a crap ton of movies to get it removed, especially considering how easy it was for him to get it removed. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I do understand, that's, it's Iron Man, keeps him going. I do get that. And I do understand that's like Iron Man's shtick. I get that. I'm just saying, if you're gonna get rid of it as easy as you did, because you made it such a big deal in previous films, like, why didn't you just make it a bigger deal at the end? You just made it seem like it was nothing. As an Iron Man movie, as it's titled, you don't see a lot of Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit, which,
Oh,
I
that's
get
actually
that.
one of the things I like the most about it.
But he was in the suit for like 15 minutes total screen time.
I understand your complaint there, but I like how we get to see Tony Stark. Like,
I mean, I do too. I really do.
yeah,
I'm just saying, you're advertising it as Iron Man 3, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 3. But it should have been like it should have been advertised more as Iron Man 3. Like, but you see, I loved that you got to see the human side of Iron Man as Tony. You saw him. I like the fact that you did see Tony Stark more than you saw Iron Man. I just don't like as little as you saw Iron Man
So
as
something
he
I
was in it.
think is really interesting what they do with him is like with Iron Man 3, like you kind of forget that he's this super smart guy, and the way he's able to kind of maneuver in the action scenes and think up stuff as quick as he can, I think it really added to the action scenes where he wasn't in the Iron Man suit. And I think that that message lent itself well to the ending to where he gives up being Iron Man and destroys all of his suits, which I think kind of ended a really good character arc. Like, even though he doesn't have the suits, he is still Iron Man no matter what.
Yeah,
Again, I all your complaints, I'm not gonna argue with you.
yeah,
Someone says I don't like Iron Man 3 and says those reasons, I'm not gonna argue with them. I'm be like, I completely understand where you're coming from. It worked for me, it definitely did, but I see
yeah.
where you're coming from.
Like I said, I don't hate the movie. I'm just not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
I could sit down and watch it again without a hesitation, without like boiling in my seat, having to watch it. I can watch it completely. I can watch all of these movies completely.
Except for
Thor
Thor
2,
2.
maybe. Yeah. We'll see about that one. Might need to watch Minecraft at the same time, but besides the point. But
Play
that's
Portal.
about all I gotta say.
We would do that. Yeah, you guys did remind me of a lot of things that I liked. The ending with like the Iron Man suits basically going up in fireworks. That was great. And normally that would seem like the kind of ending I would complain about because it's just a bunch of like suits.
It's
but they
so
feel very like personal
overkill.
because he's built all of them and he has like an attachment to all of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's saying goodbye to a part of his family, sort of, and part of himself.
Yeah, and a part of himself.
That's hard to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was good. You guys both mentioned his house getting destroyed and him escaping sequence. I thought that was great. I think, Robbie, you mentioned how when he doesn't have the suit, he has to find like innovative ways to protect himself in certain scenarios. There's a scene where he's at like a restaurant or a bar and then he gets attacked and then he uses all the different like things in the restaurant to sort of defend himself. I thought that really showed how Tony Stark is smart enough that he doesn't really need the Iron Man suit to defend himself. So I like that. Yeah, Guy Pearce I thought was fine. Gwyneth Paltrow was fine as usual. And RDJ was fantastic.
All right. So, Van, what number was that for you?
That was my number 8.
Okay. Number 7.
Number 7 is Iron Man, which we've already talked about, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 6, I think, was a punt, which is Captain America: The First Avenger.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 17 for me.
That was my number 13.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so Van, you can go ahead.
Defending this movie. Yeah, I watched this in theaters, and it was like I think the only Phase 1 I saw in theaters, and I don't remember being very impressed by it. Maybe when I rewatched it, I was just in like a good mood or something, but I just thoroughly enjoyed it, like everything about it. I thought Chris Evans did a really good job of portraying just this scrawny little kid who wanted to fight but just couldn't, and would have done anything to, protect his country. And you totally believe that he would volunteer to take this serum. And then him going into the war. I mean, this whole movie is super corny and cheesy, like, admittedly.
That's part of the charm. That's part of it.
It's part of the charm, exactly. I thought Hugo Weaving is I have mixed feelings on him, but overall I thought he was fine for, like, a corny movie needs a corny villain. I thought Hugo Weaving did a good job as Red Skull. His little Nazi buddy sidekick I thought was funny. And I thought the romance with who does Haley Atwell play? Is it Peggy Carter?
Yeah, Peggy Carter.
I thought that was fine. I thought the whole thing of them being like, they're never going to get that one dance or whatever.
It's actually heartbreaking.
Yeah, like it actually kind of works. think that's one of the better romances, especially later on when he actually goes to see her, like when
Yeah,
she's
when
older.
she's older. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think almost everything in this movie works, even if it is corny.
So, Brad, can I go first?
Oh, absolutely.
So I like I definitely like aspects like Chris Evans is great in the movie. I like the period piece setting of it. I like the relationship between him and Peggy. The stuff I don't like. Oh, Tommy Lee Jones is great.
Oh yeah, Tommy Lee
He
Jones is
says,
great.
Tommy Lee Jones, he
I'm
has
not
to
gonna
be.
kiss you." Great line. Um, my biggest issue. I have never liked Chris Evans skinny. I have never bought that aspect of. I always thought it looked weird and funky, and for me, it just didn't work that well. Like, yes, he's giving a good performance, but I think the effects are just it's so weird for me. And the other big issue is all of the cool action scenes are montaged through. And I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, I want more action," because yes, the story is good, but when Bucky dies, like we want you to care about Bucky, and like they didn't give you enough time. Like he rescues Bucky, and then in like the next scene, he just dies, and and it's shown that he recruits this like group of soldiers, and I wanted to see the bond like show the make that montage scene like maybe 10 to 15 minutes, to where you see the bonding between those men, see the companionship, and like so when Bucky does die in that scene, it's even more impactful than it actually was. That's my biggest complaint about the first Avenger, but it's a solid movie overall. I think the origin is good, but it's just those two major aspects don't do it for me.
Right.
Yeah, I'll agree. Skinny Chris Evans looks really strange, but I mean, what are they gonna do? Like, obviously, Chris Evans is like beefy in real life, and it's how the character is. So I just accepted it for what it was. And I think you talked about how all the good actions, how there's not any like action scenes that aren't montaged. Isn't like the prison escape scene? Isn't that mostly just told like straight
No,
through?
that sequence was fine. It was fun.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll see what Brad thinks.
All right. So, when I think of Captain America, First Avenger, I think of about three things that happen in that movie. One, he jumps on the grenade. Two,
Yeah.
he takes the super serum. Three, Bucky dies. That's about all I get from that movie. Like, you could just tell me all that happened and be like, okay, so that's Captain America. I'd be like, all right, yeah, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I feel as though Red Skull, not a memorable villain. No, I'm not saying he was bad, just not memorable. It was a little too corny for my likings, coming from the guy that loves Ant-Man, but but still.
It was like patriotism type corny,
Yeah.
which it does serve Captain America's
Yeah, it does, which I
incredibly
do.
well.
I understand that, which
Yeah.
is why I don't diss that. But I when I watched that movie for the first time, I was laying on the couch. I think like Drake and Josh was on. I was more excited to be watching Drake and Josh than I was that movie. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, okay, so when's Captain America coming? When's Captain America coming? When's anything gonna happen? Oh, cool. He covered a grenade for his teammate. Okay, let's all right, cut to commercial. Okay, Drake and Josh. Oh, I missed about 10 minutes of the movie. Yeah, whatever. I don't even care. All right. It's like I feel yeah, Van, you must have been in a good mood to put it at number 6, or something was going on with you. I'm not dissing you for putting it in your top 10. I do see it, but like, I don't know. Skinny Chris Evans, yo, I get it. It's kind of hard to make a buff dude skinny. It's gonna be tough with that. But
Yeah, you're just like reminding me of a lot of stuff I liked. Like when he first became Captain America, instead of putting him on the front lines, they put him in these weird like sideshows where he had like
I love that
cheerleaders.
stuff.
Yep.
It's so good. It's like you can tell he's frustrated because he's not really helping, but they tell him, no, you are helping. You're like boosting morale, but he's just there like dancing.
Yeah. Again, don't hate the
What
movie.
else?
Not a fan.
It's just like pleasantly corny, and also just touching. Yeah.
All right.
I wish they did more stuff with Bucky and
Me too.
them, but you know, the pet
Because it's his best
works
friend.
so well that I can forgive the Bucky stuff a bit.
Yeah. Okay, so that was number 6, Van. What's your number 5?
Number 5 is also a Captain America movie. It's Captain America Winter Soldier.
That's a pun.
Yep, I knew that was coming.
So, and then 4 is Avengers. So
We talked about that.
It's my turn, guys.
All right, Robbie, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Thor.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Kat Dennings is awful. The relationship between Thor and Jane is not that good. But
Yeah, this is a big butt, by the way.
I love the act out stuff. It's so Shakespearean with Thor, Loki, Odin, Thor's redemption story. I ate it up. I loved it. I also loved the fish out of water comedy. Wonder Woman basically copied Thor's method of just put him in an awkward situation where he's oblivious to everything going on. I think it works. That comedy works so incredibly well, and I think it's really well directed. Kenneth Branagh, despite his love for Dutch angles, which can get a bit annoying after a while, I just love the Shakespearean touch. I love the production. I love the costumes. I love the aesthetic of Thor, and I especially love the redemption arc. And of course, it gave us Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Van, what was Thor for you?
Thor did settle at my 19, but I said I could see it anywhere up to about 15. So
Yeah, I put it at 18 for me.
it just kind of happens to be my 19, but I'm not saying the movie's bad.
Oh, I don't think it's bad either. I just don't think it's as good as some other movies.
Yeah.
I love the battles against the Frost Giants.
Oh, it's so cool.
That's about all I like out of the movie, though, honestly.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to say like, that's what I love about the movie. Because in, like, my higher-up movies, like, I can say I love a lot that happens in the movies. I can only say that's, like, the only scene I really love about the movie. I do love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I feel as though that's great. I love Tom Hiddleston. I think that's great. They have great chemistry together. Like, you would honestly think they're brothers. Like, just the way they act together.
Easily.
And you see that, like, bond grow throughout all the movies, too. Because, I mean, again, you know, it's kind of, again, this was first attempt at a Thor movie. Like, you probably didn't think this was a movie you're going to be getting. It's just like, okay, yeah, let's try it out. You know, I feel as though it was a very good take. I don't hate the movie, just not as good as some others.
You know what I do hate about this movie is that like metal villain that just drops the gun in his face, like opens up.
No, come on. It's so cool.
Oh, you mean the things from X-Men Days of Future Past?
Those aren't Sentinels.
Those
Yeah.
things.
The exact same things.
I just didn't really like that as a villain.
Look,
Hawkeye was good though.
is Thor a perfect movie? No, it definitely has its flaws, but I think the good so overwhelms the negatives for me that it did push it into the Ant-Man and Thor were like head to head for that number 10 spot, and I think that the dramatic moments for me just took it into the top 10.
All right. I dig. No disrespect for Thor, just not as good as some others, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, dab on them haters. Okay. So what's number 9, Robbie?
My number 9 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Okay. Yeah. That was a pun earlier.
Yeah.
For you. Then Van, where was Guardians 2 for you?
That's my 17.
Okay, that was my I don't feel like counting. 13.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is actually pretty underrated. Yes, it does have its flaws for sure. Not all the ideas are executed as good as it could have been, but I think that this is like the most character driven an MCU film has been, like one of the most character driven to where every single character has some form of elk, something they're learning, something they're having to go through, and I love it. I love what Star Lord has to do with Kurt Russell with his dad. I love how Rocket and Yondu develop a relationship together. What Gamora and Nebula do, and what Drax and Manus does. It has one of my favorite third acts in any MCU film, to where it's incredibly entertaining with great action, great special effects, and the emotional payoffs are amazing to me. Like Yondu's death breaks my heart every time I watch it because I
Mary Poppins, you know.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, but I buy that he had a very kind of abusive father son relationship with Peter, and when the movie ends with Rocket crying, and it's such a somber anti MCU feel that I think that it was in a way ballsy to do so. I do have issues that the movie does try to be too funny. Like every character is dropping some joke. Like the taser face gag goes on way too long. But I think the movie has a great message. Just because someone family doesn't mean blood. Like the people around you are just as much family, if not more, than the people you're related to. And I think that's a really great message.
Alright. Van was higher for me, so you want me to go next?
I really don't have that much to say. I just feel like I came out of this movie and just didn't have a lot to say about it. I just thought it was sort of underwhelming overall. I thought the characters were, charming, but didn't do anything better than they ever did in Guardians 1. I thought Mantis wasn't that great of an addition.
I really liked Mantis.
Like Mantis is better in Infinity War than she is in this movie, I think, even though she doesn't do that much in Infinity War.
I would also argue Doctor Strange is the same way.
You'd argue who?
I think
Strange, yeah.
Oh, I agree with that too.
I agree.
By far.
Right. Well, I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
I don't even does Kurt Russell he turns into a planet or something weird happens?
yeah, he is the planet.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I need to rewatch this movie because I feel like I'm too harsh on it. Maybe I'm not remembering the good parts. But anyway, 17.
Got only 2 complaints about this movie, but pretty. One of them's pretty big-ish controversial. No, I won't say controversial, but it's a decent-sized issue. I hated when Kurt Russell, when he's the planet, it just he comes and he's just materializing into these different things. Gave me shades of Green Lantern and that villain, and I'm just no, not again. Okay. I'm like, you're ruining something great right now. I hated it. This was not a dislike, it was a hate, which is why I have it at 13. If that didn't have that, that'd easily be top 5 for me. But then, not as big of a fan as the soundtrack.
I think the it's more soulful, which I think fits the tone of the movie incredibly well.
I do get that. I definitely liked the much more character driven. I love that, he had the Mary Poppins cameo. I love that Mary Poppins was a part of the squad. You always gotta love Rocket.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Rocket and Groot together?
Baby Groot was the most adorable effing thing in this.
The beginning sequence is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Baby Groot is just so adorable. Post-credit scenes, people weren't a huge fan of teenage Groot. I liked it. I thought it was funny because it is 100% a teenager.
I was literally thinking halfway through this movie, before any of this, I'm like, I wonder if we're gonna see teenage Groot, and we saw it in the post-credit scene. I'm like, you kidding me? Yes.
I just thought, that is today's teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really did like the movie. I didn't like it as much as the first, but I definitely liked it.
Yeah.
All right. So that was number 9 for you, Robbie?
Yeah.
All right, what's number 8?
So all of you are a bunch of racist assholes. Number 8's Black Panther.
What was Black Panther for you, Van?
13.
Okay, it's 11 for me.
All right,
It
so
was gonna be in my top 3, but then I remembered, wait, I'm racist, so then I made it 13.
I remembered. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'll save it.
so Van, you and I talked about this in good detail. So I won't go on too long about Black Panther, but I think that the storytelling is a lot more mature than most MCU films as far as T'Challa becoming a king for his people and the battle of ideologies between him and Killmonger, played brilliantly by Michael B. Jordan, is great. And I love the production, the costumes. Wakanda looks great. The musical score is actually quite good, and I like a lot of the themes. The third act is really messy. A lot of battles that I wish could have just been political dialogue. But as a whole, I think Black Panther is a major step in storytelling for the MCU, and has featured some of the best characters in the MCU from to date. That's all I'm gonna say about Black Panther.
Yeah, I basically agree with all that. Um, I think that T'Challa himself is a little bit weaker in his own movie than he is in Civil War, which was kind of disappointing. I thought the supporting players were all fine, but I don't know. I feel like I just give this movie I feel like I want to hate this movie, which sounds really bad, just because of how overrated it is. It's has everyone says it's the best MCU movie based on reviews. It has an 88 Metacritic. Everyone says it's going to get nominated for Best Picture, and it's just so average. In my opinion, everything about it is average. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Mountain
It's
Freeman.
Yeah, I mean every MCU has their great supporting characters. I nothing about this movie puts it above any other Marvel movie in my opinion. I don't know. I don't understand why everyone thinks it's super great.
Alright, so confession time?
Yeah.
I watched about an hour of Black Panther, then I fell asleep trying to watch it.
Yeah.
Which is why I put it at 11, because I'm I think this is a good place to not get a lot of hate for it, because I started watching it last night, but I fell asleep watching it. Then I just got busy for the rest of today, so I never got to finish it. But I talked to because it came out in theaters when we were at school. I asked my friends about it, and they're like, "Yeah, it was really good," or whatever. And so they explained it to me and such. But then I'm like, "Okay, well, do I need to see this movie before Infinity War?" And they said, "No, you don't need to see it." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So it's I was I don't really have much to say about the movie. I can tell you about the first hour of it, and that's about it. Maybe about 45 minutes, because who knows? But I think it's a good spot to not get a lot of hate at number 11. I do agree it's very overrated. It is overrated, but everybody has their favorite Marvel movie, and I understand that. I really do. I think that it definitely touched on I'd say this was the most real Marvel movie. I don't want to say conflict wise, but what's going on wise, because you have Michael B. Jordan's character. It's his background from what he's come from, and you have Wakanda, this utopia, basically. And it's okay, you put those two worlds together, and you see basically you get a sense of how some of these third world countries might view America, and I think you get that sense of realism most in this movie. I'd say maybe not most, but definitely more than most of the other Marvel movies, which I like a lot, especially now that I'm older. Maybe as a younger kid, maybe I'd be like, "Oh, dude, it's a cat person." That's about it. But no, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I am.
I do really like Wakanda a lot as a place.
Wakanda.
But I think
Brad, I like how you play. I like how the 1 hour Black Panther is better than like Thor: The Dark World for you.
Well, that's because it is. That's not even that hard.
Yeah. I like the heist scene in this movie where like Michael B. Jordan pretends he's like a art patron or something.
Yeah.
And then Andy Serkis. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I should give this movie another chance, but
Maybe I should
there's
finish
just so
watching it.
much there's just so much in this movie that's just not good. Like, well, Brad, have you seen the whole thing at all the way through?
No.
Okay.
That's the first time I watched it because I'm like, people told me I don't need to. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
All right. Well, I'll try to kind of rant about
I don't care.
the end battle. Okay.
I know.
So at one point in this movie, there's this army standing on top of a hill, and they think they've beaten the other army. And then all of a sudden, this massive other army comes out of nowhere, and it's like a big surprise to everybody, even though they were on the top of this giant hill, and they can see for miles around them. This
Man, they
army
weren't
sneaks up
looking
to
in
them.
the right direction.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
Not one person turned around. And then there's some like rhinos in this movie that's like some of the worst CG I've ever seen in a Marvel movie.
You see Green Lantern before?
That's a DC movie.
I'm saying, regardless, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Green Lantern is a whole nother level of bad.
Love it. I was excited for the second one.
Oh, really?
No.
But yeah. Who plays? Chadwick Boseman was good.
He is very good.
Michael B. Jordan was great.
He's like the supporting characters in this movie are so good that Chadwick Boseman's almost like the worst character in his own movie. Not because he's bad, but like Michael B. Jordan is great.
It's Michael B. Jordan.
What's his name? Andy Serkis was great. I already said that. Martin Freeman was great.
Shuri almost stole the movie from.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the actress's name. But
I don't know
his
either.
sister is great.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how they actually gave her something to do in Infinity War too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think like this movie is very average in the slate of the MCU, and it kind of irks me that this is the movie that everyone decided is like the second coming. Like,
It's okay.
why?
I think it's like a 97% on Rotten Tomato or something.
Yeah.
And it has like it's higher than any other movie on Metacritic by like 10 points. And it's like, get out of here. Like, come on.
Is it though? All right, so that was your number 8, Robbie, right?
Yeah, my number 7 was Iron Man.
Okay.
This is gonna be a punt because number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Yeah. My number 5 is the Avengers.
Yeah.
This was also a punt from Vann. Captain America: Civil War is my number 4.
Okay. Okay, so now we do my number 3, right?
Yep.
I kind of want to switch around my top 3 because I really don't know. Like these could all easily be number 1 for me.
So we all
I'll
know
just-
what are.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I'm kidding. Well, we all know what was going to be in our top. We knew at least one of the movies that was going to be in our top 3 without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So how about Ryan goes first? You want to take some
Me go
time?
first? Yeah,
I can do it. I can do it.
Okay.
I think. All right, number 3. I actually had this at number 1. So
Mhm.
number 3 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy for me.
Okay, that was
I
my
had
number
it at number
6.
1. But I just really I don't know. I haven't watched Guardians for a little while, so just that's the only reason why I really don't know. Because because I remember it's like, oh, cool, it's just a team of space people. This isn't going to be a good movie. Nobody thought anything of this movie, and I think this blew expectations out of the water. Like it's like it came in with a shotgun, knocked your door down, blew your head off, and you're like, oh, son of a gun. Like, Chester, get the dang beer cans. We better run because holy crap, we got a movie on our hands.
Literally what happened.
Yeah, that was the plot. I'm sorry if you haven't seen the movie. Okay, amazing soundtrack. Chris Pratt is Chris Pratt. That's all I got to say. Groot and Rocket's chemistry. The fact that they're like, although they do travel together, they still like really don't like each other that much, but they're still family. And they understand and respect that, which is pretty dope. I love the fact that they're all fighting for their own thing rather than just the same common goal. Um, I, I, I I don't know. I just really love this movie so much. It was just so fun and amazing. Like the opening sequence where he's jamming out to his tunes. Yeah, that's unforgettable.
So, I'm, I, this movie is super fun, definitely. The opening scene is actually his mother dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
that's something I think goes so underrated about Guardians of the Galaxy is the emotional aspects of this film is
Yeah, because then he gets shot up into space right after. He goes outside crying, then he gets shot up into space.
because like, what I found rewatching Guardians is that the emotional stuff is just as good as the fun music and the fun action.
Oh, it is.
You
It
have
is.
you
It is
have
so
stuff
heartwarming.
like Rocket when he gets drunk and goes on about how he was
Yeah.
ripped to pieces. It's a raccoon my heart out of my chest, and I love
Well, it's Bradley Cooper.
adore during the dance off.
Yes.
Uh, Gamora, he has the stone. He's about to die, and he looks at Gamora, and she says, "Peter, take my hand." And he sees his mother,
Yeah.
tells him in the beginning, "Take my hand." It is so emotionally powerful. I effing love it. I
If you don't like Guardians of
love
the
that
Galaxy,
moment.
there's just something wrong with you.
Yeah, like you said, the movie is super fun. The tone is great. It is the best version. It's a modern day Star Wars for a new generation.
Yeah, I think it's like I
The
love that movie.
action is so much fun. The music is great, and I'm gonna let Van take over now.
Yeah, there's nothing really to not like about this movie.
Yeah.
I guess I just like some other ones a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um,
The villain is
this has one of my favorite lines in the movie. I forget exactly where it goes, but I think Drax, he's in a prison and then he somehow like steals somebody's knife. And the guy's like, that was my favorite knife or something like that. It's like a super random line, but
Yeah.
that's just like the line I
I definitely
remember
love the
about.
prisons thing. I love that so much.
Yeah.
nothing goes over my head. My reflex
Um,
is too quick. I'll catch it.
yeah.
I love
The
Rocket
villain
so
is kind
much.
of like the villain is kind of bad in this movie.
I do agree with that. He's not the best.
You know what I think should have been I think the villain should have used comedy like the heroes did, but in like maybe more of a dark comedy type of way.
Yeah,
Just
like a
so the
darker
tone
humor.
fits with him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a,
maybe.
like with
I
one
don't know
specific
exactly.
MCU villain, which we'll get to in a moment. But it
Yeah.
might but go on.
Yeah, I um what was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know exactly what they could have done to fix the villain because with such a lighthearted movie, either you have like no villain at all, or you have a villain that doesn't match the tone, or you have a villain who's funny, which is not like a threatening villain.
But you could make it dark comedy.
Like Loki.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
Loki is a
like
threatening
Loki.
villain, but he's still funny. Where like in
Heath Ledger's
Avengers
Joker
when
is
he's
darkly
standing
funny.
yeah. Like when they're standing on the ledge and then Iron Man takes off with Thor and he goes, well, I'm waiting. It's like that's comedy gold right there.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess they could have had a good villain.
Like they could have just like added like darker stuff. But yeah, that's my number 3.
The Guardians
So
was my number 6.
yeah, the
Yeah,
Van was yours.
that was my 9.
Okay. So what's your number 3, Van?
Okay. My number 3 is Thor Ragnarok.
Okay. I'm not gonna say where that is for me yet.
Does this count as a punt now, or can we just talk about it?
We can just talk about it.
Okay. So this is in all of our top 3s, which is pretty
Actually,
cool.
wait. Let's just say where it is. Brad, where's Thor Ragnarok for you?
I want to hear where it is for you first, Robbie.
Thor Ragnarok's my 2.
Actually, I don't want to hear.
It's your 1?
Okay.
It's my 1.
Brad, I am not kidding you. Thor Ragnarok and my number 2 went back and forth all day long.
Yeah, same here. Like for me, like those two have been going back all day long. It's just because I've thought more about what my number 2 is, but we can get into that
Yeah.
after. So let's
Yeah.
talk about Ragnarok.
Yeah, Thor 3 was my number 4, like an hour or whenever we started. But then I swapped it with the Avengers just because this movie is just so charming.
It's great.
This
I'll
is
start with what I don't like because there's
okay.
not very much of that. I don't like Hela. I really don't like anything with Hela. I don't like most of what happens at Asgard. And that's it. This movie took, I mean, for reference, Thor 2 is my number 20, and Thor 1 is my 19. So you can imagine how I thought about Thor going into this movie. And then they totally reimagined the character and gave him actual funny moments to do. And I think the credit for how great this movie is goes 100% to Taika Waititi, not only for his direction, but also for his portrayal of Korg, which is one of the greatest MCU characters of all time.
Hey
and
man,
has
my
some of
name's
the
Cole.
funniest MCU lines in any MCU movie.
You look
yeah,
like you're
I
in
could-
desperate need of leadership. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hey man, my name's Cork. I'm a rock creature.
Yeah.
Like, Meek, where are you from? Oh, Meek's dead. I stepped him on the bridge. I've been carrying him around all day because I felt so bad. Oh, Meek, you're alive.
Or like
I
10
love
minutes
Meek,
of
honestly. Meek was great.
yeah, or the 10 minutes of like Hammer sex jokes. But anyways, Jeff Goldblum is great.
Oh
Tessa
my
Thompson is-
god, Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum was amazing.
Tessa Thompson is pretty okay. I think the Valkyrie flashback scene wasn't done super well. I thought, oh yeah, I like Hulk in this movie. Basically, everything about Mark Ruffalo I loved in this movie. Yeah, I could really sing the praises of this movie all day, but basically it just comes down to basically the entire tone of the movie from the entire, like, the whole planet. What's that garbage planet called? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Oh, I didn't
Call
even
it Garbage
mention.
Land.
Yeah, Garbage Land was great. I didn't even mention Doctor Strange. There's like 10 minutes with Doctor Strange, which is super funny.
It's
was
better
great.
than anything that he was in his own movie.
Right. There's
I
one
do
thing
agree
where
with that because he was actually Doctor Strange.
he was like, at one point he like gets rid of Loki, and then 10 minutes later Loki just like falls, and he's like, I have been falling for 30 minutes. It's a great line. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought Thor and Doctor Strange would have worked so well together, and thank God Thor was not like. I mean, could you imagine if Doctor Strange and Thor had tried to interact, and it was like the tone of Thor 2?
Oh
It
god.
just would have been such a bore. But thank God they actually changed the tone to make it light. And anyway, I could talk about this movie a lot, but I'll let you guys jump in.
Brad,
because,
can I go before you? Because this is your
Yeah,
number
I
one.
gotta go last for this.
Okay.
We're going in order of list.
This
Yeah.
movie, I watched this in the theater and I loved it. This movie is the closest the MCU has been to perfection, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The jokes in this film, there were 2 times where I was actively crying, laughing, and I had to stop the movie. The first time is with Jeff Goldblum, and he's standing in front of this like DJ station for no reason. He's just like doing the DJ thing. I couldn't. It was so stupid but amazing. And the scene with Jeff Goldblum melts the guy next to Thor, and
Yep.
Thor just shouts, "Oh my god!" Tears. I paused the movie for a solid 5 minutes and I couldn't catch my breath. The jokes in this film are some of the best, and they take risk. Like, some of the jokes, I couldn't believe Kevin Feige accepted. They make an orgy joke. They talk about jacking off in this movie. Like, a whole segment of like, wow, you really love your hammer. Wow, you feel lost without it, don't you? Korg is amazing. I love the stuff with Hela on Asgard because it looks awesome, and her snappy, quirky humor is what Ronan from Guardian should have been. Because she's quick, she's sharp, she's weird, and it fits the tone completely. Thor Ragnarok is the one MCU film to where the comedy can outweigh the dramatic moment for me anytime. Give me more of the clever comedy. And I don't know if you noticed this, man. The comedy is very indie because of Taika Waititi. Like there's a moment where Valkyrie is talking to Bruce and Thor, and it's two perfectly symmetrical shots, and the quick edits, the dialogue that Emma not Emma Thompson
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson was saying like I'm gonna quit I'm gonna quit drinking, and Thor goes, oh good. She goes, oh I'm not actually going to. And the quick back and forth, it was like that reminded me something straight out of an indie comedy. This is an indie comedy in the vein of a blockbuster with amazing action sequences, a great villain, and single-handedly the funniest movie I have seen in years.
Yeah, I agree that the jokes don't feel like a cheap, like your average Hollywood movie. And once again, credit goes to Taika Waititi.
Brad, this is your number one. Just for the record, this was my number one yesterday.
Yeah, just saying, I actually had this at number 2 behind Guardians. But it's just because it is, like, besides Infinity War, this is probably the most, like, yeah, this and Infinity War are probably the most memorable Marvel movies. Infinity War, obviously. I don't think I have a single complaint for Thor Ragnarok. I honestly don't. I do understand where people do have complaints. I just don't have issues with it.
Same.
I watched this movie. I watched Doctor Strange the night before. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch Thor Ragnarok now. I watched about 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, the way this movie's going, it was probably about 1 in the morning for me. I had to go to class in like a few hours, like 7 hours. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna pause the movie. I'm gonna go to my one class of the day. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna enjoy myself. So that's what I did. And as soon as I finished that movie, I wanted to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
The only other movie that made me feel that way was Avengers, but I feel like Avengers took that, or not Avengers, but I think Thor Ragnarok, like, I don't know why that movie's so perfect, but it just is. It is, to me, that is Marvel perfection. Because you have the amazing action sequences and you have the lightheartedness. And so you have the amazing action sequence, which is what guys love action, or most guys love action. And who doesn't like to laugh? You combine those two things to, like, you combine almost perfect action and what I would say perfect, like you say comedy gold. No, this is like comedy platinum. It's even better.
It went
I love
certified
so
diamond.
yeah, it is. That's like your diamond play button right there. It is. I love it so much. Like you just like I've seen like Chris Hemsworth in interviews, and they go, so like like you didn't do the big hair in this movie, and like a lot of it just seemed like natural. And he goes, well, I was sick of the 3 hours of makeup trying to do my hair, so I talked to the director, and he goes, and I went, hey, can we do something about the whole hair situation? And he goes, yeah, we can try that. Why not? And he goes, and so he's like, yeah, but like, it just seems like so natural, like the interaction between these characters. And he goes, yeah, I'd say like 80% of the movie was ad-libbed. Like Chris Hemsworth said that.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah, it's like just like the bromance of Hulk and Thor, like their relationship. It's just like that's a relationship you see in real life. They're screaming at each other, then it's like they get in this big fight, and afterwards it's like, I didn't mean what I said. I was just upset. Like I do care about you. I really mean it.
You're
The
not
Avengers,
the dumbest
we really
Avenger.
do love you. You are an Avenger. We do love you. We really do. I promise. You are one of the best. We love you back home.
Another great moment I just thought of is with Scourge, played by Carl Urban, is when he's first talking to those ladies in the beginning, and he says, "This is my pile of stuff," and you see a fucking moped among this random collection, and it's like that is so stupid, but I can't stop laughing. And
That movie is
I
perfection.
want you to meet Tex and no, from Texas. Meet Des and Destroy. Put them together, they destroy.
Yeah. I love that movie so much.
It is so good. It's so effing good.
I'm watching it again tomorrow when I wake up now.
Cause like, The brilliant thing is that there were gags that you caught, Van, that I didn't. So multiple viewings, I think I'm gonna catch more gags over
Mhm.
time. I think the gags themselves will get even better over time.
Like when he has the three stakes and he's like, this is pretty useless unless you have three vampires huddled together.
I can't get enough of Jeff Goldblum in that movie
Him at the
because
DJ
he
stations.
just is. He didn't play a character in the movie. He just played Jeff Goldblum. He was just himself. He just goes. He's like, oh yeah, whatever. It's like, it's his acting. It's like, no, it's like he was just hanging out with a bunch of people. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that was if you get the sense of superheroes and super villains like that you just think of them as normal people, like that's pretty insane that you can do that. And I love the fact that so much of it was ad-libbed. It was great. And it worked so well with that movie because it came out on my birthday and a bunch of my friends were like, all right, Brad, we're going to go see it for your birthday. I'm like, I didn't like the first Thors. I don't want to see it. I straight up said, I don't want to see this Marvel movie. And then my friends were like, okay, you actually do have to see this before Infinity War. I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. And I was not disappointed. I was crying laughing sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
multiple times.
I was crying at 1 in the morning laughing. Like you don't do that in college. The only time you're crying at 1 in the morning is because you're doing homework that's due that day.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't seen this the second time, it'd probably be like 8 or 9. But having, because the first time I was more bothered by like how I didn't really like Hela and how a lot of the stuff on Asgard seemed like your average Marvel movie bleh. But then the second time I caught more of the humor and I really just was able to kind of put the stuff I didn't like aside because of how much I loved the humor, and I think second viewing really helped.
Yeah, I'm watching it again tomorrow now. I have to. I saw it once, and that was like hours before Infinity War, and I need to see it again. I really do.
If there was one Marvel movie that I had to, if I could only watch one the rest of my life, I probably would pick a certain other one, but this would be my second one.
For me, I would choose Thor Ragnarok over my number one. Just
Yeah.
it's so endlessly rewatchable to me.
Because I feel like there's something new you're going to catch every single time.
Yeah.
You could probably watch it, I'd say, probably 20 times, and you'd still be missing something. And somebody would be like, oh, yeah, did you catch that? And you'd be like, dude, I've been watching this movie for 10 years, and I didn't catch that. There's just so much to it that's so perfect.
So my number 3?
Yep.
Alright, my number 3 is Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Which was my number 1 Marvel film since I saw it back in 2014. This movie made Captain America great. Yes, he was good in the Avengers, and yes, good in his first film, but this made Captain America great. They took again.
That's what I was gonna say.
But yeah, great. No, they gave, first of all, the action sequences in Winter Soldier are some of the best in any MCU from the date. The close combat, hand to hand Bourne style fits it so well. The movie is absolutely compelling. I love the character arc that Steve Rogers has to go through as far as questioning his morality, how the movie has really solid social commentary on government, what is freedom, what isn't, what federal governments are willing to do to get what they want. In a like the scene when they torture Bucky is horrifying to watch in a lot of ways. Cause like that's what a lot of governments do in today's society is we go out to like the Middle East and we torture certain people wanting to get certain information. And I think the social commentary is great. It doesn't overbear it, but it does plant really solid ideas in your head. And again, the action in this movie is awesome, and I love the work husband work wife relationship between Steve and Black Widow. It's great. I totally bought them as friends and partners, and I think the comedy between them is so great. The back and forth feels so natural and so authentic. Winter Soldier for me, number 3.
All right, Van, what was it for you?
That is my 5.
Okay. It was my 8.
Okay.
So should I go or?
How about Van goes?
All right.
Okay. Yeah, basically everything Robbie just said is true. I mean, right from the bat, you have the like attack on that ship or whatever. Is that how the movie starts? I think that's all great. And then where the movie really picks up is when Nick Fury gets attacked, and you don't know what's going on, but it's like super mysterious and it's great. And then Cap's got to figure it out. This movie introduces Falcon, Anthony Mackie, who is great.
On your left.
Yep, on your left. On your left. The relationship with Black Widow is great, like Robbie mentioned.
That I think that's my favorite aspect is they took Black Widow and they managed to make her into a great supporting character to where she's perfectly placed in the movie with the perfect amount of screen time, and I think they do a lot of great stuff with her character development as well.
I think Robert Redford as a villain is fine, but I think the third act still manages to work better than your average MCU third act because the main conflict is still between Bucky and Cap. So that works. And yeah, the action is really good. Like there's that elevator scene, which is pretty great. His relationship with the like Shield agent as a romance is like doesn't work super well for me, but I guess it's fine. And then yeah, in this movie he goes back to see like Peggy Carter, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
great scene.
That's the very beginning, right? Or basically the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, not really much I complain about this movie. It's super solid. There's just not quite that one scene or that one like moment that could make it top my movies that are higher.
Yep.
Okay. So I know what Van said. It doesn't have that one moment or that one scene for me either. But I will say that I want to say it revolutionized the Marvel movies that we have today because we did not have a single movie like that beforehand because we didn't have a lightheartedness but still an amazing story at the same time. Because Winter Soldier, yeah, it added some more of those comedy elements. I mean, were there as much as we see today? Well, obviously not, but it showed how well it worked. I think that the relationship between Bucky and Steve, amazing, I really do. But there's just not that one thing that sticks out to me. I think the elevator scene, that's dope. I think that's very memorable. But that's really about it for me. I will say the ending fight where they go when Bucky and him are fighting, I do think, or Bucky and Captain America are fighting. I do think that is awesome, but it's just not enough. There's not enough there to put it high enough for me.
I love it because the way Cap says, "I'm not gonna fight you." That's such a Captain America moment that is so genuine to the character, and it fits his character development so incredibly well in that film.
I'm not gonna fight my friend.
And like the scene, I love how we have to see Cap adapt to the today's society. We got pieces of that in Avengers, but him having to deal with all his friends being dead, him having to catch up with today's society, and the scene with him and Peggy to where he still clearly loves her as much as he did when he went under the ice. It is so heartbreaking to see him struggle with the fact that she's as old as she is, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Right.
But
so that would be my number 2. So we already know what my number 2 is, and I think this is the movie that we probably will talk about the most. So I think we should save it.
Okay.
So Van, we know what your last 2 are. I know what one of them are for sure.
Yeah. So
I'll
start. 2 is Civil War, so we should talk about that next, right?
Yeah, I figured that would be number 2.
Civil War is my number 4.
Yeah, Civil War was my 7.
So we do only have these 2 left, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about Civil War first.
So let's talk about Civil War. I've heard a lot of people say that this movie is not compelling at all based on the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is so, or Iron Man is so obviously wrong, which I do think that Captain America's in the right in this movie, but I wouldn't say that Iron Man is so blatantly wrong that it's not compelling. Because I think there is an argument to be made, like, if they hadn't stopped Ultron, then the entire world would have died. So why is he so worked up about the one Sokovian person that died? Like, but at the same time, I could also see why he could feel responsible. So I don't think that's a problem.
Well,
I
it's
think
the first time that collateral damage had been brought up in an MCU film as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, unless you count like Vulture, like reaping the rewards of Battle of New York, but that happened after.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've always said the Marvel movies are only as strong as their villains, but part of why this movie works so great is because there really isn't a villain, because there's characters that you care about that have been built up for movies, like on both sides, and all this movie had to do to be successful was to build a solid reason as to why these characters would be pitted against each other. And I don't think the reason is as strong as it could be, but I think it works well enough that the movie is able to be compelling. And then the rest is just, great story, great action, introduces Black Panther in a totally epic way. I mean, Black Panther in his own movie is just fine, but Black Panther in this movie is amazing, I think. That highway chase scene is fantastic. I mean, the airport scene, geez, it's just insane. Anyway, yeah, I'll let you guys go for a bit.
The thing that bothers me the most about Civil War is that the first two acts are so strong, and the third act can get pretty messy to how convenient it is. With Zemo's plan, Tony happens to be there. Black Panther happens to be following them, and I will argue that the Captain America Bucky and Cap fight, or an Iron Man fight, is the best action scene in the movie because of the choreography and the pure emotion behind it. Because they've been building up that fight since the first Avengers movie, and it was done so well. But beyond the amazing action, because the opening action is great, the highway chase is amazing. Bucky, um, escaping from his apartment is great. The thing to me that really locks this film in is the emotion behind it. When Peggy dies, you feel Cap's anguish and his agony when he's having to lift her coffin and he's struggling to do so. Like Captain America, who's a superhuman, can't lift this coffin because of how emotionally distraught he is. And I love how Black Widow just comes in and says, I'm here to be your friend, and she just hugs him. Such a sweet moment. The ideology, the battle between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers is brilliantly done. I bought both sides and I kept flip flopping between both sides throughout the course of the movie. I'm actually Team Tony Stark when it comes to those things. So,
What's Vann's team?
It's hard to say. It's like, since there is a debate, it's hard to say, but honestly, it just seems irrealistic that there would be. Because it seems so obvious that, like, the Avengers, whenever they did, assemble, that the casualties were way less than they would have been if they hadn't assembled in the first place. But I can also see, like, governments are dumb, but...
Yeah, they are.
I don't know. I think the movie would work best if it's not super obvious which side to pick, because if it was super obvious, then everyone would just sort of gravitate to that side and they wouldn't sympathize with both sides. So I think the fact that it isn't super clear who you should side with is a strength of the movie.
Yeah.
but my major complaint with Black Panther in this movie, his origin is brushed right over.
I
Brushed.
agree with that.
It's like, oh, they're having the court, and then literally 15 seconds later, the explosion happens, and like 5 seconds later he's holding his dad crying. Like, couldn't we have just seen like maybe some of the anarchy and Chotala having to crawl his way, really go through the pain, and then he sees his father and he's holding him crying for like maybe a solid 45 seconds to a minute, really showing the pain he's going through. Because I just think it's like it's done. It's like with a snap of your finger, Thanos, it's just gone. And I think like that could have been far more. I think it could have been more compelling if they extended it there. But that's and Zemo is he could have. We didn't need him to be in this movie. Zemo did not need to be in this film in order for it to work. I understand. Like I like his motivation, but his placement here is just yeah. Could have done without him.
All right. So I watched Civil War for the first time on Netflix. Um, I never saw it in theaters as much as I wanted to, and I have to say, with all that the movie as amazing and hyped up as it should be, because you have Avengers fighting each other, I three memorable moments for me. So you have against Crossbones in the beginning,
Yep.
airport battle,
Yep.
then Iron Man versus Captain America and Bucky. Like everything between that, I won't say it's a blur, but it's not very clear as to like I could not give you a full detail of what happened because I think that there was just oh I don't think there was too much focus on the conflict between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. I just think there was not enough focus on uh, there's not enough focus on what was going on in between. And I do understand like a lot of that was a big majority of the movie. I do get that, but I just feel like it was not as heavily emphasized as it should have been.
Yeah.
I didn't after watching the movie. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty good. I didn't think it was wow amazing. I do think it was the best of the Avengers movies. I do. Maybe not. Yeah, I ranked it the best, but I put it right in front of the first Avengers movie. I do not dislike this movie at all. I love it a lot. I love the introduction of Black Panther. I love the introduction of Spider-Man. I liked how Ant-Man was incorporated into it.
Giant Man was so cool.
Giant Man was dope because it's like it was just awesome. Um, there. I just wish there had been more like substance to it. If you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say it it wasn't disappointing. It just didn't wow me as much as I think it should have as it was advertised.
So Van, you and I saw this. Was a Friday night we saw this in theaters? I know we saw this together, and I remember going in thinking this movie's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna love it. And it was one of the first movies I remember watching and thinking that was pretty good. Wasn't as good as what the critics said, but it was pretty good. And I am in the. I don't think it's as great as what a lot of critics will say it is. I think that the moments it's great, it's fantastic. And the moments where it falters, it really does kind of falter for me.
All right, I can see that. Um, yeah, it also seems a little off, like when uh, Tony Stark realizes that Bucky killed his parents, and then he like totally goes off on him, even though he was under mind control. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You'd think he would be more forgiving, considering like he was under mind control, and now
Well,
he's not.
he always had that thing with his dad, and I
Yeah.
understand the emotion. He killed his mom. He genuinely loved his mom, so I've had those moments of anger to where I could think about it, but my rational thinking prevents me from doing so.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't really bother me, but that's a criticism I've heard people say. But yeah, overall, great action. The entire airport fight was just like
Unreal.
Unreal. It was like a glimpse of what could be possible of so many heroes together all at once. And it introduced Tom Holland, who I think works well. But yeah, just fun romp, fun time. Good movie.
All right. A movie that is both number one for you two.
Yep.
And number two for me. I'm just gonna do a quick like small criticisms of the movie.
Yep.
That don't put it at number one. It's like maybe like a minute, and we can just go full on into it. Okay. I understand Thanos' mindset, and kind of makes sense, but at the same time, double the resources. Why couldn't he have done that?
Because he's a genocidal maniac.
Well, I know, Robbie, but I'm just saying, people try to reason with him. It's like, well, if you're going to try and reason with a genocidal maniac, why don't you reason the thought that could have doubled the resources too, not killed his own daughter? Because I felt a connection. I truly did. I really believed, well, whether it's true now, I really believed that Thanos loved Gamora. I really did. I really, really did. Well, that may be controversial. I'm not sure, but no, it's just like he took her in as his own child, and the love you have for a child is, regardless of anything, is like it goes above all. So it kind of shocked me when he was willing to kill her that easily. While there was a small internal struggle, there was not as much as there should have been. As much as Thanos had portrayed his love, there was not that much of an internal struggle. The fact that there was one shows you that he actually did care. So that's about my only complaints for the movie.
Yeah, in response to the double the resources thing, I've heard that argument, and I think you just have to accept, like, A, if that was the solution, then there would be no movie.
Oh, I get that, I'm just saying.
And B, like, Thanos is just like a maniac. Like, that's his mindset. Like, he's gonna wipe out half Earth. Like, that's his plan. Like, I guess I sort of would consider that maybe the ease with which he's able to eliminate half of life would be easier.
Van, hold on. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Hold on.
Right. Rob's lagging.
Go on, Van. Keep talking.
Okay. I was just saying maybe the ease with which it would take to destroy half of life would be easier than it would be to create double resources. But I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Maybe he could easily snap and create double resources. But in any case, he's a psychopath. So
No, I said that for the memes.
yeah. I don't consider that like a super legitimate complaint.
Actually, before you chime in, I actually got another thing to say. Like, obviously, I think that, so the characters that he killed off, they should not have announced that we were getting more movies for them. Because it's like, oh man, because it's like, oh man, this person's getting killed. But then it's like, you're sad for a moment, and it's like, oh wait, never mind, we're gonna see them anyway. So like, I get it. I get why. It's marketing. You gotta do what you gotta do. I get that. At the same time, it's like some of the deaths. It's like it didn't bother me as much as it did others, because I'm like, well, they're coming back. Where it's like, but then for some characters, like, you have no clue if they're gonna be coming back or not.
Loki, I think is done. I think Vision's done.
I do too.
Yeah, I think we're just talking about like the very end right now.
Yeah.
I think it's like Spider-Man, Black Panther, all those guys. I would have known they were coming back whether or not they had announced like Spider-Man 2. Because when you spend so much tension building up Loki's death and you kill him, and then you spend so much tension building up Gamora's death and you kill her, those feel like legitimate deaths. And then when you kill 20 characters so quickly, it's done in such a way that you can just tell that they're coming back whether or not they announced another movie. And of course they're gonna claim, no, that's fine, no, they're not coming back, but we all know they're coming back. And if they don't, you can quote me, and I will be shocked. But yeah, another thing I've always complained about Marvel movies is how there's no stakes, because the whole movie of tension and action and suspense can happen, but it doesn't matter because you know that all the characters are going to be safe at the end. But this is the first Marvel movie where they actually kill like super important characters, Loki, Gamora, and Vision. So for that alone, I think the fact that it was able to have an atmosphere where people could actually die and you weren't sure who. Like when Thanos stabs Iron Man, you really think, oh, is this it? And he obviously doesn't end up dying, but you see that he could have. Whereas if that same thing had happened in, say, like a random Iron Man movie, then Iron Man's not going to die in his own movie. So.
Yeah. And I think that I really didn't expect for Thanos, like I knew that some people were gonna die, but I didn't think it was gonna be due to the Infinity Gauntlet. I thought that was gonna happen in the next movie. I honestly did, because it wowed me when it happened. It really did, because like I thought he was gonna like almost get it, and like it's gonna kind of like it was gonna end with him getting like the final stone, and that's how it would have ended.
Yeah.
Rather than Robbie's doing something, I don't know what.
Yeah. When Thor stabs him, I thought that Thanos was just gonna actually die, and that was gonna be the end of the movie. I was thinking this is gonna be the lamest end I've ever seen to a movie. And then he says you should aim for the head and snaps. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, like the balls they had to end it like that was insane.
I'm so glad it ended the way it did on that cliffhanger.
I am too, but like I feel like it would have. It really did shock me. It really did that. Because I knew, I didn't know who was gonna die. I knew about 5 characters were gonna die.
Yeah. It's almost a happy ending because Thanos is like the main character of the movie. So. Oh, you know who's actually the best character in the movie?
Ebony Maw.
Yeah, Squidward. Ebony Maw was the coolest villain in the MCU. Thanos is the best villain in the MCU, but Ebony Maw is the coolest villain in the MCU.
Squidward.
When he just like waves his hand and like 20 cars just go flying or whatever it is.
Bro,
the way he just like wraps up, he just like destroys Doctor Strange. You just know he's a total badass.
He took those bricks and turned them into like spikes and started launching it at them.
Yeah, and the coolest part is how he just like waves his hand and whatever happens. But anyway, I really liked that character.
When I was watching Infinity War, Van, something I can't get over is how amazing the action choreography is. I'm gonna say it, some of the best action scenes ever put the film. Whether you're talking about the New York sequence is amazing, and then the on Titan is incredible, and the Wakanda stuff is literally Return of the King with superheroes with the Pelennor Fields.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
And every single character was placed so perfectly. Like in the group you want them to be, Thor with Guardians was great. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man was great. And every single one of those groups had the right amount of screen time they needed to have.
Yeah. I do say that I was very I'm like, okay, so this is gonna be like probably the biggest Marvel movie to date, which it was obviously. I was very iffy as to what they were gonna do because they had so many characters. Like, I wasn't sure if it was gonna be too much, because I think the way they placed it, like you said, it was perfect the way they placed the characters, and they had the perfect amount of time. We'd go to another character, perfect amount of time, go to another one, perfect amount of time. None of it felt overplayed. And I gotta say, I just got Thor. That's all I gotta say is Thor.
When he comes back with Stormbreaker into Wakanda and
Bro.
he starts chopping, it is the most badass thing of all time.
Okay, Thor Ragnarok and like just when Thor comes back to like Wakanda, I think that made Thor my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Just that alone did it. It was so ridiculous.
Which is so weird because Thor 2 and Thor I don't like. But
Yeah.
I hate how critics say nothing in this movie is like earned and that there's no plot. Like when Thor comes down with his hammer, he's been working towards that the whole movie, and it is completely earned. Also, critics say that you can't just go into this movie because nothing will make sense and the characters don't have motivations or whatever. But this is like the 20th series. It's like the 20th sequel in a franchise.
Yeah.
It's like watching Deathly Hallows Part 2 and you're like, oh, who's Voldemort? Why are they fighting? Oh, it's just non-stop fighting. Of course it's non-stop fighting. It's the last movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just go Thor. How about the oxymoron with Peter Dinklage as a giant? It's like my guy. I did not expect to see Peter Dinklage. I'm like, yo, my boy, what up?
I knew he was cast in the movie.
Because wasn't he like
Thought about him until I saw his face.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there he is. I'm like, yo, what's up, my guy? He's just chilling there. He goes, oh, yeah, these hands, they're no good. No, they're not good. I'm done with these puppies. I'm done doing all this stuff. And, Thor, faces up against a star. And I think that really showed. I think Thor. It's tough to say, but I think he had one of the best character development because I think that really showed where he is the god of thunder.
I loved the conversation he had with Rocket where he said, what more do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Great.
Because he lost his, yeah. Because you just see because when Loki dies in the beginning, spoiler alert, whatever, like, you just see the defeat in Thor. Like, you feel for him. Because he has nothing in it. He no longer has anything in his life. He's defeated. He's the shell of the person he once was that we saw in previous movies. And then out of nowhere, well, no, I'm not going to say out of nowhere, but you see that build up into him being the true god and ruler that he is and can be. And I think that was amazing. I mean, granted the fact, in Thor Ragnarok, he had a little taser device on his neck that shocked him and it knocked him out cold. Goes up against a star, just chilling, taking it like it's nothing, taking it like a champ. But again, that really shows where he is a god. And, my boy, the Hulkbuster armor showing up again.
Yep.
I thought that was so funny. I'm like, that is, I don't know. I'm like, that's just great. That's great writing.
The dramatic elements and the comedic beats are mixed so well together. Like, for example, with the Guardians, when Drax is like, "You're a dude. This is a man." It's like a pirate and an angel made love. Angel.
Yep.
The comedy is so good in this film.
Yeah.
And it never compromises the dramatic moments either.
Yeah. I really love the rabbit.
Sweet rabbit.
Then, just the ending, like, just the defeat you see in Rocket's face, too.
The defeat with Tony's left alone on a planet with someone he doesn't even know.
Yeah, so you got Tony. You see the defeat in him. You see the defeat in Rocket. You see Thor going like, oh my god, I could have prevented this. And it's like, I think that as amazing as it was, imagine what it would have been if they would have killed Iron Man or Captain America.
I think they're going to in the next film.
I do too.
I wouldn't have made a difference for me. I mean, my theory is that anyone who's dead.
Well, it's already number
right
one
now,
for you, so how could it make a difference for you?
I think anyone who's quote unquote dead now is actually alive, and anyone who's alive is actually dead. Because as you notice, everyone who died was the newer characters that have newer contracts, but Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, all the people that have been around for a while and have been talking about leaving the MCU are alive. So that seemed kind of a very strange coincidence.
So
Yeah.
to wrap up the Infinity War conversation, because we could talk about this movie for like an hour at least.
I dig.
Who between Captain America and Iron Man, who dies permanently in Avengers 4? Because I say Iron Man does.
Oh
I can see
gosh, I
both.
gotta choose. Oh gosh, I gotta choose. I want to say Cap because Bucky, he's like Winter Soldier. He's gonna become the next Captain America. Like that's I don't want to say it's a given, but I'd say it's a fairly good
Yeah,
chance. But then I also want to say Iron
either
Man
him or
because
Falcon.
yeah. But then I want to say Iron Man because what left is there for Tony Stark to do for everyone else? Because like he basically brought in this new character that's, I mean, not probably not made to be, but will probably be the newest face of the Avengers with Spider-Man because everybody knows who Spider-Man is. He brought in Spider-Man. He's probably going to, I mean, he's done so much that I think it's basically going to be like it's your time. Maybe they'll kill them. I won't be surprised if they kill them both off. But at the same time, it's like who knows what's going to happen.
Do you
And you
think
know, yeah,
do you think Tony's gonna have a son? Because doesn't he talk with Pepper about like having a kid in this movie?
yeah. And I
Well,
think it might be a case where Peter Parker might have to help raise that child. Now
That would
that's
be very
obviously
interesting.
that's a very long stretch, and we're not going to talk about theories because we're talking about ranking
Yeah.
because we easily could sit here for another hour. But I think. Do you think we've said enough, Robbie?
I think so.
Everyone think of one more. Everyone think of one more awesome Infinity War moment. You got to think for a little bit. All right. First thing that comes to mind is. Oh man, how about Hulk versus Thanos? And you think Hulk
Thanos
maybe can
made him
win?
his bitch.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, I want to hear yours.
Um,
Can we agree that the
Mi-
best scene though is Thor showing up?
it's
Oh,
one of them.
Thing?
if
Yeah.
it if it's not the best, like top three.
So my scene is Mr. Stark. I don't want to go.
Yeah. Ad libbed, I think.
It was
Yeah,
ad libbed.
because a lot of because like I think like 99% of Tom Holland's scenes it was just himself there the whole time. So he goes, I don't even know what I was supposed to be doing because they wouldn't let me see the script. So he goes, because when they gave me the script, it was all blacked out other than my lines. He goes, honestly, like that's true. He goes, I really didn't know. So he goes, like half the scenes, like I was, like I was just sitting there talking, and it looked like I had a blank stare on my face because I really didn't know what was happening. I just say a few words, wait a little bit, then start saying a few more words.
All right. So how about all of us, one by one, go sum up our list from 20 to 1, starting
All
with
right,
Ed.
all right. Hold on, let me pop this puppy out again.
Yep.
So from 20 to 1, Thor 2, The Dark World, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, Avengers 2, Guardians 2, Ant-Man 2, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain America Winter Soldier, Avengers, Civil War, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Guardians, Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok.
All right. Van, you go.
Same deal. Thor 2, Thor, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians 2, Incredible Hulk, Avengers Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1, Iron Man 3, Iron Man, Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Avengers, Thor Ragnarok, Captain America Civil War, and Infinity War.
All right. So Iron Man 2, Hulk, Avengers 2, Thor: The Dark World, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Captain America, Iron Man 3, Ant-Man, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Black Panther, Iron Man, Guardians, Avengers, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Ragnarok, and finally Infinity War. Guys, this was fun.
I'm kind of surprised that our top threes all shared 2 movies, right? Because we both had
Yeah.
Thor 3 and Infinity War in the top 3.
Yeah.
I wasn't
knew-
Pretty crazy.
I wasn't
I-
expecting Ragnarok to be in there for either of you guys.
I knew Captain America. I knew Winter Soldier was going to be in there for Robbie, and I had a good feeling Civil War was going to be in there for Van.
Yeah.
I knew Infinity War was going to be in the top 3. That was
Yeah.
a given. How is it not?
What if
How
like
can you
one of
not
us,
know that?
what if one of us had Infinity War like number 20?
They
I
killed all my
considered
favorite
putting it at
characters.
I considered putting it at like 17 and putting like Thor 2 in the top 3, just to trigger.
Infinity War was my favorite Marvel movie until the last 5 minutes, and then they killed Spider-Man, so it's a 0 out of 10. That's probably how some people feel. Have you seen those videos of people like crying on YouTube, like coming out of the theater?
Yeah.
There was
Jeez, man.
one. I was listening to a podcast, and the guy, he goes, I was watching it. This lady stands up at the end when Spider-Man died. She goes, "Holy shit! What the fuck was this?" And walked out. But, all right, at this point, I'm just gonna like start cutting stuff because I just recorded some audio too for fun. But oh my gosh, we could talk about theories like all night.
Yeah.
But like,
I am going
like-
to end this video now, though. So, guys, Van, you don't have a YouTube channel, but if you guys haven't subscribed to Brad's channel, go ahead. He fights zombies.
I do.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Some
So-
heroes sit in their chair and play a video game.
So, I'll see you guys in my next video, hopefully coming soon. See you later, guys.